O Show. This is the Big 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 O Show. This is
Welton Rayom has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They're committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. Property damage claims to your home, business, or condo as a result of a hurricane. Welton Rayom can help. Water, mold, fire, smoke damage, Welton Rayom can help. Call 954-966-4646.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Oh, I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloman Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
Welcome to Red Light Therapy, a revolutionary technology perfected by NASA to aid in muscle strengthening and recovery. Red and infrared light has the capacity to penetrate deep into the cell's mitochondria, potentially leading to increased energy, faster recovery, and the optimal performance your body demands. Train, fight, recover.
Statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Hey, good morning, boys and girls. I hope you all are doing well out there. I hope you're feeling good. I know it wasn't the best Saturday out there, but they did what we wanted them to do, at least what I wanted them to do, because we asked throughout the week that there was no way that you could get your ass kicked. There was no way you could play the way you played the 2 weeks prior to that. And sure enough, the offense showed up. They almost did their job. The head coach didn't do his job, but at least they put up a very impressive, respectable performance, and they ended up falling short. So you got to feel good overall about the team. I know I do. I feel good about the team right now, the way they're playing. I think McDaniel's in a little bit of a funk, and he's got to fix that. But overall, I think mission accomplished. The team gave the effort that you needed on offense to at least make it a game. Hopefully they can clean up some of their, shortcomings, especially with the receivers the last 2 weeks, and hopefully they'll be able to fix that. So good morning, one and all. Hang in there. Hope you all are doing well around the country, around the world. I know we got people tuning in all over the place, and we appreciate you as always. Thank you all. It was one of those Sundays where I'm watching all the games, and sure, I was entertained by the way the Patriots lost, of course. That was fun. Zach Milf Wilson also in the Jets losing. That was also fun. So I get all of that kind of stuff, but it just was like I just kind of was going through the motions yesterday. You know what I mean? And let me tell you, that World Cup final, that was a lot of fun yesterday. That was awesome. We all, those of us that are soccer fans or football fans, none of us were cheated. We got the best matchup, and then we ended up getting an absolute classic of a game. And for Messi to get his second goal to give them the lead in the overtime, and I'm thinking this is the perfect way it ends, with Messi, because I was going for Argentina for Messi. I don't really care about Argentina or France. Either one winning doesn't really make my day or hurt me or whatever, but I don't like watching Ernie Banks leave without a championship. I don't like seeing Dan Marino walk away without a championship. You know what I'm saying? And this happens every once in a while. There's some great players that walk away from the sport. Don Mattingly, and you just look at it and you say, because I mean, poor Don, he retires right when the Yankees get to the point when they're really good as a team and they start winning a bunch of titles. And so these are the things that, like, you don't want to. I don't care if they don't play for my team, but great players that have given so much back, they deserve it. And while Messi has had all the success at the club level and everything else, he has never won that World Cup for his national team. And that's always the silly argument that, the Argentina fan base has with Maradona and Messi or whatever. And who gives a shit, dude? You're blessed to have two of the greatest players to ever play. You know what I mean? But whatever. But the Maradona people hold it over the Messi people because he won a World Cup and Messi didn't. And that was the only piece left, for his resume to complete. Just like Marino needed that Super Bowl champ. Marino did everything else. He accomplished everything. The one thing you needed was the title. And, I just don't like seeing stars that have really given us everything as fans and people that we should admire because they played the game the right way. You should want to see them end their career the right way. And when they don't, it's sad to see some of these people. Barry Sanders he got to a point where he just got tired of losing with the Detroit Lions. And that's not one of the, Walter Payton got his at the end of his career when he wasn't the Walter Payton that I was spoiled with throughout his career, because that's my favorite player of all time, back in the mid 70s when he came out of Jackson State and following him. And you thought he was going to retire without a championship after all those amazing games and laying it all on the line. And then finally, on the back end of his career, he's able to get one, just like Ray Bork wasn't going to get one in Boston if he didn't get traded to the Avalanche. And I wanted to see Messi get his World Cup. And I'm glad he got his World Cup. Mbappe got his last World Cup. So he was going to become a two-time winner as young as and he's awesome. He put up the hat trick. I mean, it was just a great game, period. It was awesome. And I got up with very little sleep because obviously we were done. I don't know what time we finished, like 1:40, something like that on Saturday, Sean, something like that. Yeah. We ended like at 1:40 at night on Saturday doing the post-game show, and I stayed up till like 4 a.m. I couldn't. There's no way after that post-game show. I'm just not that person that could just, okay, let me go dive to bed. No, I got to kind of tire myself out and then go to sleep. So I got up with very little sleep, obviously, to watch that World Cup, and it was worth it. It was worth it. It was really, really cool. I got an idea, by the way, because, my wife was like, well, why don't they just keep playing? And you can't. You can't just keep playing. You know what I mean? You've played nearly 130 minutes of soccer. You just can't keep playing. And then I explained to her, like, I don't know if some of you understand this, but there's probably about $1 billion in salary on the pitch that night or that day between those two teams. So, it's these people are actually worth a lot of money, and they got to do other things besides play the World Cup. They've got to go play for their club teams. They have other commitments. They do have careers. And soccer is different. You're running and running and running. These people have run for miles now at this point. They're gassed. You just can't keep doing that. So you'll create injuries if you want them to play 200 minutes to decide a game. So I was just thinking this. Can I give you a wild and crazy idea that nobody will ever do? Kind of like my wild and crazy idea that you don't expand to 1 or 2 teams in Europe. You put 4, and you put a practice facility in Europe. You put a practice facility in the United States, maybe in Indianapolis. So that way when the European teams come, they practice in one place. They're able to fly because it's, in the middle of the country and go everywhere. And in Europe, when the American teams go there, they then, travel around and they have one individual, right? And I've told you 2 bye weeks, one before the Thursday night games, one after any of the European trips, right? All those things that I've thought of, right? Crazy ideas that I come up with, right? Here's my crazy idea for the World Cup to try and avoid a shootout after the overtime. Both teams pull a player off the pitch in the first half of the overtime. So now you've got 10. No one scores in that half. That halftime, you pull another player. Now you're playing with 9. So you steal a page from the NHL. You open up the game even more. There's less people on the pitch. So now there's more open field and there's more chances to score goals and end it in overtime. And then after, if you have to go to a shootout, then you go back to the 2 players that weren't part of it and they can be chosen and part of your shootouts and all that other stuff. But just for the hell of it, just to mix it up a little bit, take a player, take 2 players out and open it up a little bit more. It's worked for the NHL. Overtime in the NHL is a lot of fun, dude. So I'm just saying, that's something that, I get it. It's, a traditional sport and all that good stuff. But shootout is not really, I understand it after you've played the overtime and you just can't burn these guys out and they're worth a lot of money. Mbappe is still probably worth another $1 billion alone in salary for the rest of his career. So I get it. But what the hell? Change it up a little bit. But that was fun. I got to say, that was a lot of fun. It was worth not getting enough sleep and waking up to watch that thing. Because, I had to tire myself out. I go, man, I got to get up early to watch this World Cup. And that is just absolutely brutal. Anyway, appreciate all of you out there. Don't forget to hit the hell out of the like button, too, while you're watching the show, chatting, all of that good stuff. Of course, you can make a donation through Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That is Cash Big O Show. Jamie Zorrilla, I see, is first out in San Jose, California. Brian Walters is in. I see Nizzle, Adam Sadowski, Isaiah, Nelson, Ian from Brooklyn. Brooklyn Rob, good morning, Big O and Sean. Victory Monday, but looking forward to getting back on track this weekend. All I want for Christmas is a Finns victory. I am with you, my brother. It's all I want to. CTSW today, working from home. There you go. Nothing wrong with that. Richard Leonard's in the house. Gus 1388. Nyborg is in. Alex Palenzuela. Kyle, Lisa Rose, still smarting from the lost Saturday. Living in Bill's country makes it even harder, ugh. But let's keep our fins up and pray for a Christmas present win over the Packers. Oh, yeah. And Chapman is in. He loved the Patriots ending. So did I. That was awesome. And then Belichick after. It's beautiful. Brett Dodger, Pat in Asheville, William Youngblood, Sam Young, Nelson Alfonso. It says situational play calling on offense and defense is very bad, and they still can't stop a nosebleed. Yeah, I get it, man. I understand. So how are you supposed to stop anything when you've only got 5 players on defense? Can anybody answer that, Nelson? You want to answer that? Anybody want to take a stab? Because let's see, you got Holland, Kohu, Wilkins, Phillips, and Sealer. Anybody else? Who else? So if you only have 5 players you can count on your defense, down in and down out, you have 11 on the field. 6 are a liability. How are you supposed to stop anything, Nelson? Just wondering. Well, Please, please enlighten me with your stupid ass comments out there. All of you that think that the defense is supposed to be anything special. I would love to know that. Please enlighten me. There are 5 guys you can count on that team right now. It's not Boyer's fault that Chubb is not performing. Go watch the tape. He's rarely ever double-teamed. The chip blocks are half-ass. At halftime of the game on Saturday night, I went back to watch quickly every defensive play and watched specifically Bradley Chubb. Nothing, bro. Nothing. Not impressive at all. So if you can't count on Chubb, you can't count on X, you can't count on any of the other DBs, really, outside of Holland and Kohu, please explain to me how the defense is supposed to stop anything. They still did enough to give you a chance to win the game. But, of course, Sherfield and Hill dropped touchdowns. And Braylon Sanders, for the life of me, young man, just run, you idiot. He just runs. He runs into a touchdown. At least he has a chance to catch it. I don't know if he catches it. That's another thing. I don't know if he's going to catch it, but he stops. And then McDaniel has a chance to run and run and run. Please explain to me how any defense is going to work with 5 good players. So let me see. What you got, Nelson? Where's Nelson at? I don't see any explanation from Nelson. Come on. Come on. Where are you, Nelson? Where are you, my brother? I don't see you. Where's the answer? And here's another one for you, because, see, the problem is, like, people like Nelson, and there's a lot of people like Nelson on the chat board and around. Most of you actually don't really pay attention to what's going on in the league. You're just sheep. It's like the Vic Fangio thing now. You're all repeating it. One guy says it, a whole bunch of other idiots follow and then repeat it. Just so you'll know, okay? Let's just go over. So the Finns gave up 446 yards of offense, right? The defense gave up 446 yards for the Dolphins. The Bills gave up 405. Jags gave up 503. Cowboys gave up 397. Vikings gave up 518. The Chiefs gave up 502 to the Texans. The Dolphins gave up 446. But the Chiefs gave up 502 to the Texans. Pats, a good defense, better than Miami's 318. They weren't playing a great offense. Eagles, 421. Bucks, 396. Chargers, 365. Titans, 284. But then again, look who they were playing. And then the Finns, 446, which is right around what a lot of defenses are giving up. And some are giving up more. Listen, I can't help you if you don't watch the NFL. There aren't any great defenses left, like San Fran or, there's only like a couple. Like the Patriots actually have a pretty good defense. Their offense is questionable as hell, but, the Jets, their defense is pretty damn good. Much better than Miami's. But Miami only has 5 players you can count on. No coordinator is going to make anything special out of this defense. That's why the man is trying everything. Man-on-man, zone, uptight, loosen, whatever. He's trying everything possible because he just doesn't have enough. There's just way too many holes in the dike to just plug all the holes in the dike. Just the way it is, dude. Can't do anything about it. But you guys go ahead, make shit up and try to, oh, no, the defense got to do that. No, the defense is what it is. I get it. Most of you don't really follow the league. And so then you hear what one guy says and you just repeat it like sheep, but you don't really think for yourselves. actually like watch what's going on. Where's Nelson at? Nelson, you're playing with fire on this show, right, my brother? You can't talk shit and then not back it up. Where are you, bro? Where are you, tough guy? Where's the explanation? I don't see anything here. See, that's the kind of shit that gets you blocked. You get challenged, and look, you punked out completely like Homer in a bush. No explanation. So how do you win on defense with 5 guys? Let's see, Edwin. When our D-line is up on 3rd and 17, I instantly knew Bills would get a first down because they prevent defense. I watched the game. It doesn't matter, Edwin. 3 or 7 points, you still lose that game. It doesn't matter. See, you're nothing but a sheep, my brother. You keep repeating everything everyone else is saying. So if you play up tight, you give up the touchdown. He's trying to keep everything in front of him because he can't trust what he has. You can't even trust X. How can your defense ever be any good if your number 1 corner can no longer be trusted at all? Because obviously X is injured. Again, no explanation, just a lazy-ass comment by Edwin Montero. That just like a stupid-ass comment, by the way, by Edwin Montero. That makes no sense. So explain to me how a defense is supposed to be good when there's only 5 reliable players. Please explain that to me. So that's the problem there that I have. You talk about the rest of the league. The Dolphin defense is ranked dead last in points allowed in the AFC. Forget about being special. I wish the defense was plain bad and not the worst in the AFC. Actually, they're not the worst in the AFC, Chase. You know that, right? They're really not the worst in the league. Let me see here. I think I saw where they weren't even the worst in yards. Let me see something here. Oh, man. And by the way, I'm not a fan of making stuff up and that you're like way off on. Just so you'll know. And here we go. Team stats. Let's go. Defense. Where are we at here? This thing is slow as a mofo, by the way. So let's see. Rushing yards, they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th in the league in rushing yards allowed. In receiving yards, I'm sure they're really bad there. If it'll ever show up. Okay. I it's just like, this is brutal, dude. I don't know why. Let me go to, you know what? NFL.com, you suck. I'm going to go to ESPN and see if they can bring up their stats a little faster than freaking NFL.com. It's terrible. So far, they're not the worst in run. We'll get to points because I know that's what you were talking about. Here we go. Stats for the Dolphins. Team. All right. Where are we at here? Total yards. Oh, I think I might have screwed up there and hit offense, which is great. Okay, here we go. Total yards on defense. Where are the Dolphins? I'm looking all the way in the bottom. They're not in the bottom? Oh, they're not, actually. They're not in the bottom. 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24. They're 23rd in total yards allowed. In points, (32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 27. They're 26th, actually. So they're, see, so who said it? Like, see, you don't even do your homework, my brother. You see? You don't even do your homework. Houston's worse. Minnesota, playoff team, has allowed more points than Miami. Seattle has allowed more points than Miami. Chicago, and then Detroit and Arizona. That's the kind of shit that bans you, just so you'll know. I think the person that sent it in is one that's constantly, because I don't remember, or if I remember the name, I think it's one that's normally here and it's pretty supportive. Know your stats and know your shit before you comment. I'm not big on that. Okay? I'm not big on people throwing stuff out and exaggerating stuff because you don't watch the damn league. Like most of you, like I explained. You guys think that every defense is playing great, and they're not. Most defenses in the NFL give up a shit ton of points. Kansas City they won. They survived. They beat Houston. It's a perfect example. And Kansas City's considered, them and Buffalo, right? The creme de la creme of the AFC. And they barely survived Houston. But if that happens to Miami, you guys kill Boyer. And meanwhile, there's a reason why Miami's not very good. They've got all the injuries, and Chubb has been a complete disappointment. That's not Boyer's fault. And X is a shell of himself because he's all injured. Is that Boyer's fault? I can't blame the man. The problem is most of you are just unrealistic and you're lazy. And then you repeat what somebody else says who didn't do their homework, who doesn't pay attention to the league. This team is not supposed to play like some of the elite defenses. They're not healthy. They lost their entire secondary. They had to thrust a Division II player they found off the street, who, by the way, was found by Boyer, who is developed by Boyer. Jalen Phillips being developed under Boyer. Christian Wilkins being developed under Boyer. Zach Sealer developed under Boyer. But, he doesn't get credit for any of the good shit. They got a turnover late in the game on Saturday night. What more do you want from that defense? I told you there's 5 reliable players on defense. 5. Josh Allen makes that run up the middle, and there's Duke Riley. You know what I tweet out? Zach Thomas, John Offerdahl, Nick Bonacani, Duke Riley. What's wrong with this picture? But you want Boyer to make Duke Riley Zach Thomas. Come on, man. You want to make Keon Crossan Pat Surtain? You want to make Vernon Lee Jr. what? Watch the league, man. Actually pay attention to the league. League is littered with all kinds of mediocre defenses. There's very few good defenses left right now. It's just the way it is. It's the way the game's being played. KC allowed 500 yards to Houston. Just win, dude. Find a way to win in this league. And especially this team that's so injury riddled. And I'm not going to go blaming Boyer because Chubb isn't carrying his weight. And I'm not going to blame Boyer because X is a shell of himself right now. Can't do that. I just find it where I just think it's lazy to just pick on the guy just for the hell of it when he's got a crap ton of reasons why. There's 5 reliable players on that defense. 5. Holland, Kohu, Sealer, Phillips, Wilkins. Sakao, as Santana would say. Sakao. There's nobody else. Those are your 5 reliable players. Everything else are backups or the aforementioned problems with X and Chubb. You're asking for chicken salad out of chicken shit. That defense can just get you by. It's the offense that better carry them week in and week out. They got you a turnover late in the game. Should have done something with it. But then again, the coach should have run the ball. Josh McDaniel I'm telling you, he was terrible on Saturday night. The shit he did on 3rd and short, passing all the time, unacceptable, dude. Unacceptable. If he would have done it half the time and failed, then you got something when you come to the podium. But when, the defense did, don't give me that shit. Your guys are averaging 7 yards a carry. Go gouge their ass. Keep gouging their ass until they can't stop it. Until they can stop it. That was bad. That was bad. David, thank you. To blame defense for Sunday's result is a disregard of Mike McDaniel's decision-making and the receivers dropping short touchdowns. Defense did enough coaching and dropped the ball. Yeah. And for God's sake, Braylon Sanders. My man, just run, dude. You run into a touchdown. He stops. Obviously, he has depth perception problems. That's for damn sure. Holy shit. That guy stopped to play defense when the ball sails over him because Tua thought he was going to keep running. It's the same play that they nailed Buffalo with earlier in the season. He was splitting the safeties. It was just supposed to be Braylon Sanders to split the safeties. Knight says, thank you for the love in the super chat. My issue with the defense, I'm disappointed that we are so hurt. We can never have both offense and defense. My problem is McDaniel's play calling. Well, what can I tell you? Dino, 94, thank you, my brother, for the super chat. I think we're expecting too much from this team. I'm saying just give me the playoffs. Let's be proud of how they played against the Bills. Fins up. Yeah, you should be proud of the way they played on Saturday night. They played a hell of a game. They came back to play a respectable game, something they did not do the last 2 weeks. So I give them credit for that. All right, let's switch gears. Let's talk a little basketball. Ira Winderman and our Acura Pembroke Pines Miami Heat and NBA report. That is next.
Heat fans, time for the best insight of your favorite team with insider Ira Winderman, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. It's the Acura of Pembroke Pines Miami Heat and NBA report. Here's Ira Winderman.
Good morning, Ira. I know it was San Antonio, but I'll take it. At least you got over 500, and I enjoyed the aggressive Bam that continues.
And what we're seeing is it doesn't matter who it's against. Every team that builds a good record in the NBA builds it against someone. You get the easy ones. It gets you over 500. You have a couple of statements along the way. And again, it was just a case of doing what's needed. You were shorthanded, 2 of your 5 starters out without Lowry, without Caleb Martin. I just posted a story at the Sun Sentinel. I'm still waiting for everyone to get together to see what this mix could be, because then you'll have flexibility. When you get all 5 of the preferred starters, only 11 games this season have they been together. So we're almost still waiting to get started a little bit. But you know what? They took care of business. They wanted the 4-0 trip. They wanted to come home with a winning record. They wanted to go in again these winnable games before Christmas against the Bulls and Pacers at home. They've reached their goal. All of a sudden, you're like 3 games out of 4th place, 4 games out of 3rd place. You're resetting yourself. As long as there's not those major glitches like we saw against Memphis and Detroit, you'll be fine. You'll make that steady growth. The East at the top 2 is very good, but there's room for the Heat to fall into place also.
did they take any crickets home? Because that's really, I think, what was the key to all of this was eating crickets. I mean,
That's just crazy. And I actually checked to make sure that Jimmy wasn't just BSing us. And it said, no, in Mexican culture, insects are ground into the food and they're seen as source of proteins. And you know what? Whatever it took for Jimmy to help lift the heat to that victory and do it, I have no issue. I always worry when the guys talked about the night before we're going to go out and explore the local cuisine. I'm like, who's not showing up for the game? Enough guys showed up. They made it through it. It was a very limited trip there. There wasn't a lot of touristing done by the team. They're exhausted. That's why they took these next 2 days off. Now they get to reset. 4-game homestand before they go out west. Better positioned, insects or no insects.
Well, I gotta ask Jimmy where he went because I gotta go in 2024 to go see Metallica and Greta Van Fleet in Mexico City for a couple of days. You gotta have some crickets while you're there. When in Mexico City, Mexico City. You know what I'm saying?
When in Mexico City, eat like the crickets. I get you there. So, and you know what? For as much as Jimmy said it, I'm still not totally sold he actually ate the crickets. But that's another story for another day.
Would you eat crickets?
Yeah, my wife has always been amazed. When we go to places, I will try anything. I will try any body organ. I will try anything the locals have there. Yeah, my sense is people are eating this and not dying, and it's a local delicacy. So who are we to say, well, we eat here in the States? Some other people would look at like, wait a minute, you're eating that? We eat plenty of body parts. I have no issue.
Yeah, no, if you're going to eat Spam, why not eat a cricket?
You're eating anything anyway. That's perfect. And if you grew up like me as a kid on bologna sandwiches, who the hell knows what's going in there?
Exactly.
And hot dogs at the ballpark. Come on, they'll grind up anything and anyone in those things.
Am I looking too much into this? But have the Heat kind of gotten to the point with Depot? It's like, F it, bro. Either you can play or you can't. Because when they played him 34 minutes and an injury-prone player like that, I'm like, okay, they're telling him, brother, the training wheels are off. Either you get it done or get the hell out and we move on. But I think this is kind of drawn the line. Depot, you better adapt right now because they are giving you every opportunity from here on out.
And also, they're taking measure, Big O. I wouldn't say injury prone. I would say injury plagued because there haven't been a lot of injuries. There's just been some really bad injuries he's had to recover from and maybe being a little bit overcautious. But you know what? It's what I spoke about. If you're going to have your starting five of Bam and Caleb and Jimmy and Tyler and Kyle, all of a sudden, everyone else is battling for the scraps there. And they want to get a read. Can Victor Oladipo be our backup wing? Can he be our backup point guard? Do we not need to rely on Gabe Vincent and his 30% three-point shooting right now? Can he play a shooting role instead of maybe Duncan or Max? So we've said from the get-go, Victor Oladipo is sort of the universal donor on the bench. He can do a lot. But you know what? You won't know later if he can play bigger minutes unless you see it right now. I think the Heat's thought with Victor is roll him out there. If it works out, perfect. If it doesn't work out, then we know by the trading deadline we have to go in a different direction. They know what 5-minute Victor Oladipo and 10-minute Victor Oladipo can look like. They're trying to get a read on, like you said, 20, 25, 30-minute Victor Oladipo to see what they have. I agree the training wheels are off. And you know what? And if he breaks down and everything falls apart, hey, you've got to find that out. You have now waited just about 2 full seasons to see what you have in him.
What do you see so far?
I see a player who fits so well in their defensive scheme with his deflections, getting his hands on the ball, 8 steals in the last 2 games, 5 steals in Mexico City against the Spurs. He fits that. Now, this team's defense has come around. The scoring has not. So can he be anything close to the dynamic scorer he was? Because again, with that 5-man lineup I gave you, who's going to score off the bench? We thought it'd be Max Strus. He's been up and down all season. Duncan Robinson disappeared, but he came back 2 of the last 3 games, making 3-pointers. So you have to get a sense on who your reliable guys are, or even for as much as we talk about a big Heat trade, might you need just a smaller deal just to get someone here who on the second unit can flat out get you some buckets? That's what they have to find out.
There's a part of me in this Tyler Hero blaze that he's in right now, shooting absolutely amazing. And hell, didn't he have like a couple steals the other night too? I think I wrote it down. Didn't he have like 2 steals? Yeah, he also had 2 steals. He had 21 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals. And I'm almost at the point now that Tyler also inside himself said, I better turn it up to the point that they're like, yeah, we can't put him on the bench anymore. You know what I mean? Like he is playing like, you know what I mean? He like sent a message like, no, here's where I belong. And let me show you how I belong. It's not just scoring. I'm going to start doing some other things. And if you look at what Tyler's been doing, it's not just scoring. He's actually helping and growing as a more complete player in other areas.
And we've seen that with Kyle Lowry out missing the last 2 games. He's more of a playmaker. He's doing that, getting others involved. It's interesting what they're doing, Big O. You and I have spoken on our Accurate Pembroke Pines reports for weeks now about how the bench isn't doing it. Tyler could boost the bench, but he's not going back there. You're not undoing this. There is an ego factor in starting, even though we all know it's who closes in the NBA that matters the most. So what the Heat are doing, if you notice this, you'll see this on Tuesday against the Bulls tomorrow. They're taking him out of the game earlier so they can cycle him in with the reserves. So they're getting the best of all worlds. Instead of telling Tyler, you can't score all this, we have to feed Kyle, we have to feed Bam, we have to feed Jimmy, they take him out, put him in with the second unit when he can be more of a natural scorer. So it's really smart by Spoelstra. He's nominally a starter, but about 4 minutes or so into the game, he's not a starter anymore. Then he's cycled through with the reserves. He's young enough at 22 to play bigger minutes, to be a starter and a reserve anyway. So Eric Spoelstra has sort of found a happy medium. He's getting Tyler with the second unit a lot, but Tyler still can go home, puff his chest and say, I'm an NBA starter. It's one of those little subtle coaching moves by Eric Spoelstra that shows that he gets it. He gets the ego of something wanting to start, but he gets the need of Tyler Hero needing to be with the reserves who just flat out don't score that much.
Ira, what is the thought of any kind of additions? Because, again, from what everybody is talking and writing, it doesn't look like the Heat is going to go over the tax this year for any kind of move. There isn't really a superstar to be had, and I don't think they have the ammo to acquire a superstar anyway. So what kind of move could they be looking for? What names are floating out there?
I'm going to make it easy for you because we know who's coming to FTX Arena on Tuesday, and that is the absolutely cratering Chicago Bulls. I believe anyone and maybe everyone is available there. So DeMar DeRozan is the kind of player you might go into the tax for. Nikola Vucevic is the kind of player you might go into the tax for. Zach LaVine is the kind of player you might go into the tax for. I'm not saying people don't aggregate this, that the Heat are getting all or any of them. What I'm saying is you're getting closer to the part of the season when you can pick at the carcass, when you can find players on teams that are going south, where you might have a chance. Toronto's doing the same thing right now. They're reassessing whether to kick it to the curb, get in the Wembanyama lottery game and go in that direction. So I would keep an eye on teams that aren't meeting their mandate and realize even at their best, the Bulls at best are a play-in team. I'd say the way the Raptors are playing, even at best, they're a play-in team. So do you want to be a play-in team and barely make the playoffs and not get a good lottery pick, or do you kick it to the side? The Bulls are really interesting. The Lakers are looking at the Bulls. A bunch of teams know that, hey, those are NBA guys that in the right situation could work. Last night was a perfect example. Goran Dragic spoke after the game. We're not sacrificing. We're not playing for each other. I'm not saying that Goran Dragic is coming back, but I am saying this, Big O. Goran Dragic on a one-year deal who came back to play in the playoffs, if it's going south in Chicago, probably will again ask for a buyout. He got one last year from the Raptors. He finished the season with the Nets. You know what? Come February, come March, if Goran gets a buyout and Gabe Vincent's not making his three-pointers and the Heat do have that extra roster spot, we know that Goran can work to a degree with this Miami Heat team also. So I would start looking at the teams that are fading from the playoff picture a little bit and then go from there. I also would look at the desperate teams who realize they're missing something the Heat might have. And an example of that is the Atlanta Hawks are not getting the shooting to space the floor. You know what? They might be a buyer for Duncan Robinson. You might be able to make a move in that direction as well. So I think the standings are going to start to tell a story also, as well as maybe what you might want as opposed to what's available.
If I ask you which is the bull that's the perfect fit right now, the most needed, which one is it?
Well, again, the price tag is too high, but the Heat would love a stretch 5 option. Look, we know what Nikola Vucevic has done against the Heat over the years, whether it's been in Philly, whether it's been in Orlando, to a degree with Chicago. He has been the Heat killer. That's what you want.
Yes.
Second unit. He is a floor spacing big. He can come in, unlike Dwayne Dedmon. He's not the defender, maybe Dedmon is, but he's available. Someone like that, he would be very intriguing on this team. I'm not saying he's a starter, although he could start.
No, you can play him with Bam. You can play him with Bam
because he can stretch the floor, but you can cycle through. That would be interesting. So you have a guy like that. Again, I think a guy like Goran for a little offensive boost. I know he's old, and I know Kyle's old, but if you have two old players, you don't have to play either of them a lot of minutes. That would be interesting also. I'm looking at them. The Raptors have a crap ton of talent. I mean, I don't think you're getting Pascal Siakam, but I would kick the tires. And again, these are the kind of names that I believe Nick Harrison and Mickey Harrison would consider going to the tax for because they know they're proven quantities. The Heat's 7 in the East right now. They're looking like they could trend up at least to 4 or 5, get into a reasonable first-round matchup. These are the kind of little subtle moves if you can make. If you're willing to give up some draft equity, maybe a young player that you could pull off. Max Strus went to DePaul, Chicago guy, maybe send it back home, give Chicago another player to look at, throw in some Duncan salary, maybe wait for January 15th, some Dedmon expiring money. The maneuverability will increase for the Heat, so keep an eye on the teams who are going south while the Heat are headed north.
Listen, Ira, I have the solution here. Listen, sometimes we hurt each other as family, friends, and then you got to try to make up. A couple years back, the Miami Heat made a terrible decision by allowing Dwayne Wade to walk out and use that money for white bum. And so now they fixed it. They went and they brought him back. I think the Raptors did bad in letting Lowry go. I think we need to repair that relationship. And I think we need to send Lowry back, and they need to give Siakam to the Heat. This way, they can close out that love affair with Lowry next year. Have a going out party in every city and all that good stuff, and they can have some synergy and close things out the right way. So let's help the Raptors out. And close that relationship out the right way like Miami did with the Bulls. What do you think about that?
Or they could sign him to a one-day contract and he retires like we see in the NFL all the time and have Kyle Lowry night and call it a day. Or with the Heat going to be so hard up against the tax next year with the contracts of Butler and Hero and Adebayo, if the Heat use the stretch payment on Kyle Lowry, they could bring him back at the minimum. They are not giving up quality for him. They brought in Precious Achiuwa at least as someone who can move forward with them in the Lowry trade. Look, Kyle Lowry will do the ceremonial ending with the Toronto Raptors, but he will not do it on a 32. Yeah, he won't do it on a $32 million salary. Good try there, Big O, but I'm going to give that a big fail.
I don't know. We had to make up with Wade, so I figured they make up with Lowry.
We made up with Wade at the minimum. We didn't make up with Dwayne at $32 million. Yeah, that's the difference.
We can facilitate that for them. We can give them back Lowry. It'll pain us to part ways with Lowry, but we'll do it for them so they can close it out the right way. All right, what do you got going on in the Sun Sentinel so Heat fans can check you out leading into the Bulls tomorrow night?
Well, I wrote that story about that. It looks like the Heat are finally going to be whole for the rare time. So we have all kinds of issues. Who's the backup point guard now? Is it Victor Oladipo? Is it Gabe Vincent when he comes back? Who's the backup wing? Is it Max Strus who's been starting a lot? Is it Duncan Robinson who's come on? Who's the backup center? Dwayne Dedmon has really struggled this season. Could they go a little bit more with Orlando Robinson? Or are they really waiting for Omer Yurtseven to come back and saying, you know what? If he comes back by late February, we get a couple of months, maybe that's where we're going. So again, I think we all agree the starting lineup is staying the starting lineup. Tyler Hero deserves to be an NBA starter. And you know what? Caleb Martin at $10 million less and 10 years younger than PJ Tucker has worked out just fine there. So I think the Heat have settled their starting lineup. Now we're going to see in coming weeks, how do they settle the backup, the reserve rotation? Because the one question Eric Spoelstra hates being asked. Coach, now that you're healthy, what are you going to do? And he's like, don't jinx us. I don't want to hear that. That's like asking about the guy in the free throw streak when you ask about Gabe Vincent. So I might not ask tomorrow, but I think that's where their issue is. And then, of course, later today, the injury report comes out. Will they be healthy? Were they really just holding Kyle Lowry out for rest against bad teams in Houston and San Antonio? Or is that knee an issue? We'll know more about that around 5 p.m. today.
All right, follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat and catch his work at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. And you can catch him again on Wednesday with the RedRecover.com Inside the Paint Show. Ira, thank you, sir. We'll catch up later in the week.
Well, winning record now. I can afford a better Acura, so we'll see. Thank you, Big O.
You got it. Be good. There you go. Ira Winderman and our Acura Pembroke Pines, Miami Heat, and NBA report.
You've been listening to the Acura of Pembroke Pines, Miami Heat, and NBA report with Ira Winderman. When you're looking for award-winning service and great deals from the #1 volume Acura sales dealership in the Southeast United States, you go to Craig's Inn Acura of Pembroke Pines at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
All right. By the way, let's see. I'm not seeing anything here, by the way, on my challenge for the defense. Big O, I think the D played okay. Offense was actually pretty good. Coaching can only do so much. Josh Allen is the reason we lost. He's a winner, and that's what we did, period. Okay? But I still don't see anything from anybody, including Nelson, who says, what was driving pulled over to type this? You're right about only having a few players. You can count them. But I was speaking of situational play calling. By God almighty, they had 12 guys in the rock. So what? It happens. That's your problem, Nelson. You're complaining just to complain. The offense effed up that game on Saturday night. The coach was hard-headed on every third down, on every short third down. He never ran the ball when he's gouging them. He decided to play Braylon Sanders on a play that could have been a touchdown. He decided to go to a 2-point conversion instead of just taking the point so early in the game. That's just cockiness on his part. That's arrogance. And arrogance is continuing to pass on short yardage situations. And Tyreek Hill and Sherfield dropped touchdowns in one possession. The defense did enough for you to win the game. They even got you a turnover late in the game. Again, I keep telling you, program yourselves. This defense isn't saving anybody. It's the offense that has to save them. And they fail. And that's what they've done. And the receivers and McDaniel have now failed 2 weeks in a row. They're the reasons why you didn't win. Tua joined them last week. This week had nothing to do with Tua whatsoever. Had nothing to do with the offensive line whatsoever. Had nothing to do with the running backs whatsoever. And the defense, it had nothing to do with them. They are what they are. And again, I tell you, if you only have 5 reliable players, how do you play good defense? You can't. Mathematically, it's impossible when you have 6 weak links every time on every down. It's a miracle. All right? As Culture Club would say, it's a miracle. It's a miracle that you're in the game. So, offense, do your job, bro. Do your job. And the reason why you have 6 losses, because the offense can't do their job every single time. The defense always does enough for you to win. They're not going to win the game for you, but they will do enough for you to win. But if the offense can't do their job, I can't help you, man. Can't help you. It is what it is. I just read it off to you. Defenses all throughout the NFL are giving up tons of yards, just like the Dolphins, and points. That's just the way this league is now. There aren't very many dominant defenses. And if you think the Dolphins defense is supposed to be any good with 5 reliable players, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're asking for something that it's like Marcel now moving the goalpost for Tua now. Oh no, I got to see him now off script. That's not who he is, dude. You know, love Marcel, but that bullshit he pulled on Saturday, that don't fly here on this show. No. You don't get to do that guy. It's the only quarterback in the world. Follow me on this. Okay? Sean, do me a favor. Turn on your mic. Pop up for me. Because you got some age on you. Okay? Let's bring up Sean here a second. I got to ask you a question. All right? And please remove that beautiful Cutter's Edge billboard there. Yes, thank you. So, in the history of time, I'm giving you like not this year, not last 5 years, history of time. So what quarterback do you remember saying that we said to them, oh, let's see if he can play in the rain? Have you ever heard that?
No.
Okay. Let's see if he can play in the cold. Have you ever heard that?
No.
Think about this. Nobody does this to any fucking quarterback except this guy. Never happens. Nobody ever talks about shit like that. The stupid shit that we put on Tua is ridiculous, bro. And now it's, oh, let's see if he can go off script. What are you talking about, dude? The 2 guys that played in the Super Bowl last year are pocket passers, Joe Burrow and Matt Stafford. Peyton Manning doesn't live off script. Drew Brees, Tom Brady, they don't live off script. So all of a sudden now, this is a thing? We don't do this to any quarterback. We don't do it to Marino when he's coming into the league. We don't do it to David Woodley when he's coming into the league. We don't do it to Drew Brees when he's coming into the league. We don't do it to any I've never heard this shit, dude, that goes on with Tua. Oh, no, now I got to see him do this. What the hell is this, bro? What is he, some kind of an animal in a circus? You got him going through hoops. He's got to now jump this. He's got to go through the hoop there. He's got to go through the cones. What is this, dude? I've never heard of this. And somehow or another, I don't know, the media all of a sudden starts to create these hurdles for him that we never create for any other quarterback. Ever. I never heard anybody say, well, let's see if Joe Montana can go off script. Whether he can or he can't, whatever. Nobody ever says that shit. Oh, let's see if he can play in the rain. This is why I shot it down every time when you guys are talking about rain or snow. And I'm going, this is stupid. Do you know why? Because this has never been done for any quarterback. Because everybody can play in the rain, dude. We all played in the rain in the park. You played in the snow. Well, you make it sound like nobody can play. Think about how stupid and how ignorant that sounds, that we had a group of individuals, media, fans, whoever, questioning whether somebody can play in the rain or snow. How about if you can just play? We don't even ask if Ryan Tannehill can play in the rain or the snow. We don't ask if Pat White can play in the rain or the snow. Think about how insulting, how ignorant, how ridiculous it sounds at every effing level. Do you know how insulting that is to Tua? Nobody thought about that. Anybody bring that up to you? On ESPN, on Fox, on where? Well, I mean, they don't do much sports talk on QAM, but, whatever. Anybody ever mentioned that to you? Only right here. I'm the only one that mentions it to you. Because you go think about it, we never said, hey, can Dan Fouts play in the rain or the snow? Hey, can Colin Kaepernick play in the rain or snow? Hey, no. Hey, can Chris Winkie play in the rain or the snow? Can Dave Craig play in the rain or the snow? It gets to a point where, and that's why, I lost it pretty much with Marcel on Saturday night. I'm not having that shit, bro. I'm not having that shit. And it ain't going to fly on this show. That's for sure. That bullshit ain't flying on this show. It's the dumbest shit in the world. Can he play in the snow? Well, where are you idiots? Because he balled in the cold. Should have thrown 4 touchdowns if it's not for Tyreek, Sherfield, and Braylon Sanders. 4 touchdowns he should have thrown in that game. In the snow, in the cold. Can he play in the rain? Can he play in the snow? Do you know how stupid you sound? Do you know how ridiculous you sound? When you're asking something that's never been asked of any quarterback ever, because that's not a thing. My God. The level of garbage that goes around covering Tua is just amazing, dude. It just is. H360, my simple ask for Tua is win a game in December. He can do that during an earthquake for all I care. Thank you, brother. True Fin Fan 78, so true on Tua. Not fair how they treat him. Nobody else does that. So, anyway, preach it, Big O. I mean, I knew when he left 5 minutes, no way Buffalo wasn't going to move down for a TD and kill the clock. It's been happening for 22 years now. Yeah, but they would have less time on the clock if the opposing coach would run the ball. Because, by the way, besides the 2 touchdowns that Tua should have thrown, besides the extra point that you should have had on the field, if you go for those 3rd and shorts, I guarantee you would have kept a couple of drives alive, and they might have led to more points. What a concept. Which would have wasted more time on the clock, which then Buffalo has less time to come back on you. But that's all right. McDaniel knows exactly what he's doing. Young coach. Really, really dumb the last 2 weeks for the young coach. I hope he figures it out because he has shown me some really... Oh, man. I got to tell you, it's just... do you want an interesting coincidence now? You guys want an interesting coincidence here? So McDaniel was running the hell out of the ball. He had a chance to extend drives. He had a chance to actually call a smarter play, which was running over passing, because he can tell you that they were maybe looking for it, but seems to me they were ready for the pass because they were right all over their receivers. So they were ready more for the pass than they were for the run because they kind of knew what you were going to do. So it called for a run. He comes from a run-based offense, right? That's the heart and soul of his offense has to do with running, which he failed to do. So Sean Stanley, let's bring you up now. Please come up and help me here on this show one more time. Let's bring up the one and only Sean Stanley, who masters this entire platform every single day. So you would agree with me, as Shanahan comes from a run-based offense, correct? And he chose not to run in certain situations on Saturday night on 3rd and short, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so he coached under a guy named Kyle Shanahan, correct?
That is correct.
Was Kyle Shanahan the offensive coordinator when they lost their 25-point lead in the Super Bowl?
Yes.
What should they have done that day that they refused to do?
Run the ball.
Oh. Wow. Habitual. Ignorance. Interesting. You lead by 25. You keep passing the ball and not stopping the clock. You keep giving the ball back to the Patriots so they keep scoring, but you keep passing and not running out the clock, and they come back and beat you. Saturday night, you had 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. You're gouging them for 7 yards a carry. And yet, your knuckleheaded approach was to keep passing. Interesting dynamic. Interesting defect. Interesting all around and disturbing. What can I tell you? And then 2 weeks ago, you have San Fran muddling the middle of the field. So you figure, well, okay, the Chargers are going to see this. They're going to do the same. And you didn't have a counter for it. This week, you had the counter. Every time you went wide and low and short, you sucked up the linebackers. You ran the ball. You sucked up the linebackers. You opened up the middle, which then Waddle goes for the touchdown, which Braylon Sanders is open. If the moron just continues, it's the same play against the Bills earlier in the season. But that's because you were running. That's because you were playing, short, but playing the edges too. Just saying. Just wanted to mention it to you because it's something that, I just want you to know what's going on. You guys probably are listening and watching the wrong people, and they don't really watch the games actually themselves and what's going on. And really, so a lot of you are probably repeating a lot of stuff that really has nothing to do with what really is going on with the team. Mike McDaniel is young and needs to figure things out. Okay? He's costing his team victories. He's awesome. He's smart. He's innovative. He gets today's offenses. I totally understand that. He knows how to maximize the quarterback position, but he outthinks himself. And sometimes you got to go kiss. And just keep it simple, stupid. Just run the ball. You're gouging them. Just keep running the ball. Running is your friend. Running loosens that defense up. Running sucks in the linebackers. Running makes Tua more dangerous. So, Mike McDaniel, you got to sharpen what you're doing out there the last couple of weeks. Very disappointing, my man. Very disappointing. I bet you nobody thought about the Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl with Saturday night and that comparison and the level of ignorance that was shown by McDaniel and Shanahan. Same kind of ignorance. Same kind of ignorance brought you a loss. Why is Sanders so high on? Well, that is Mike McDaniel's fault. You could have Cedric run that play. You can have Gesicki run that play. My God, have Trent Sherfield run that play. But why you have him out there, why you have Braylon Sanders out there is beyond me. And to put him in that position, terrible, terrible decision by Mike McDaniel. Big O, I think you're playing the result with all it does your name, because if you play the bad play calling, George, why don't you go look at the timeline, my brother? Go look at the timeline on Twitter, how I'm screaming for them to run on short downs, and then they don't run anyways. So, my man, you got to have all the facts before you actually talk. So if you really don't follow the show and you're just like here listening, but you didn't follow during the game, that I'm on Twitter and I am talking about the game live. And by the way, it doesn't go right away nowadays, right? When you tweet, there's a couple of seconds for it to load and all that kind of crap. So it doesn't really go as soon as you'd like nowadays. But I was complaining throughout this. This isn't hindsight. Even though, by the way, that's my job, to actually question whatever I think is wrong in hindsight. But in this case, I was on time, game live, talking about them running the ball and why they're not running the ball. You need to go back. Just go look at the tweets. You'll see them there. Big O, I saw the Bills didn't want to tackle and was getting plowed over when they got the ball early inside the 5. I'm running the ball 4 times. If they stop me, great. My DNs have a chance. Yep. Then stop bashing the coach, Big O. Stop calling him stupid. It makes everything you say contradictory. He was dumb that night. What do you want me to do? I'm sorry if you're a little too emotional there, my brother. But Mike McDaniel had a terrible night. Hell of a coach. Love him. I'm rooting for him. I'm supporting him 100%. Just like I support the hell out of Tua. Nobody supports Tua like I do. But I'm not going to tell you he played well the last 2 weeks before Saturday night. He played like shit. Just got to call it like you see it, my brother. I'm sorry. This is not the show for you if you're emotional. We're not the show for you. Okay? If you want, listen, there's 2 other shows you can go listen to. Okay? There's the fan show that is just all pom-poms and everything's always great and all that, and they never, challenge anything. You can go listen to that if you want. Then you could go listen to the trolls that just want to hammer because, of course, if you complain, that's how you'll get people to come on board with controversy constantly and all that stuff. So you can go there. We choose to not go on either path. We choose to keep it right down the middle. Okay? We give our opinions. We like what we like. And if we tell you that, we'll tell you when something is wrong. As much as I love Pat Riley, I'll tell you the Hassan Whiteside deal was terrible right from the get-go. Even though I understood what they were doing, I never agreed with it. I love Pat Riley to death. I would have never signed Kyle Lowry in my life. I'm sorry. That's all. What do you want me to tell you? This is not the show for you, man. I'm not here to kiss the Heat's ass the entire time, or the Dolphins, or the Panthers, or the Marlins, or whatever, bro. Love Sifu and Viola, the owners of the Panthers. I think they're fantastic owners. But they didn't stop me from calling the team soft, from them having to get tough, and they got tough a couple years back. And then last year, I said, no, you got to get rid of what's his name now? Hubie. I said, you got to get rid of Hubie and get a star. It's the way it goes. You can't have Barkov and Huberto as your top guys. It's not going to get you anywhere. This is not the show for you, bro. We're not here to make you happy and shake pom-poms and everything's all right. Oh, and the Marlins will be all right and everything will work out. No, let's find out. Let's talk about what really is wrong with the Marlins. Let's talk about what's really wrong with the Miami Dolphins. And as much as I like Mike McDaniel, he's had two shitty weeks as a head coach, to be quite frank. But if you're not willing to admit that, I can't help you, man. Okay? We're not the show for you, man. We're not that show. Both coach and Tua are learning week by week, I think. We are all mad because we aren't where we could be right now. GM Big O, Cap for Life, Samuel Rosa, C. Dola, and all Fins fan. Okay. What else do we have? Oh, I want to know how good Tua is in quantum physics. I mean, I want my QB to be able to pass and construct a time machine. Hell yeah. Let's all be sliders. Damn right. I got to tell you, in sliders, the initial girl, she was like annoying, right? And I know she was all into Jerry and all that. But I got to tell you, when she left the show and they replaced her with, what's her name? Smoke Show. Sliders became that much more attractive, is all I can tell you. I forgot her name. I know she follows me on Twitter. Carrie, I want to say, right? Woolwer or something like that. There we go. Carrie Wuhrer. That's her. Wuhrer. Yeah, I remember that. That was that was an improvement, I gotta say. I wonder if she even follows her Twitter feed. That might be a fun interview to do. Not that any of you would care, by the way. Now that I mentioned sliders, but I enjoyed that show back in the day. I wanted O to ask Marcel what his definition of off script is. I've seen Tua step back in the pocket, roll out, throw a dart. Right, like he did against Baltimore, that he did that little spin move. That's off script. But that's not who he is, dude. That's where Marcel is just, he couldn't be more wrong and ridiculous about that. You can't, I tell you guys this all the time. It happens to some of you out there, and obviously to some media members. All of a sudden, you start putting unrealistic expectations on something, and then you're disappointed because a team or a player isn't meeting your unrealistic expectations. Tua is not going to be Josh Allen. He's not going to be a young Russell Wilson. He's not going to do the things that Mahomes does. That's not his game. Just like Tom Brady, that's not his game, and that's not Peyton Manning's game, and that's not Drew Brees' game, and that's not Joe Montana's game, and that's a whole bunch of guys. Joe Burrow doesn't really do off-script stuff. He'll move around a little bit when he's flushed out, unfortunately, a desperation or something, and yeah, they'll make a play or two, but that's not who they are. They're pure pocket passers. And then the other defect that Marcel has, as much as I love the young man, is the youth. He now made it sound like it's passé to be a pocket passer. And listen, in 20 years, Marcel will be right, because the cycle will be, that's where we're headed, that we're developing mobile, accurate quarterbacks. They're not there yet. They don't come out of the factory like that yet, but we're getting there. But that'll take another 10, 20 years where the league is littered with them. But the guys that win all the titles, that's why I told him, so who's winning? And then that's when I told him, thanks for playing. Because because there's no running quarterbacks winning titles. So there's no off-script guys and all that kind of stuff. And it'll come because that's where we're headed. But we're still not there yet. But he made it sound like everything is old. He made it sound like Drew Brees retired 47 years ago when he retired 3 years ago. But the problem with Marcel and some of you out there, and I get it. Look, this part I completely understand. When I tell you Tua is more like Montana, it's hard to understand because there's not a lot of these guys in the history of the NFL, as I've explained over and over again. It's Fran Tarkenton. It's Bob Greasy. It's Joe Montana. It's Drew Brees. And now I think it's Tua that follows the chain of those kind of guys that they don't have the rocket arms, they don't have the amazing bodies, they don't have the amazing athleticism, but they have all the smarts and intelligence to make the passes and decisions from the pocket. So they don't have to be off script or living off script. Can they do it every once in a while that they get flushed out of the pocket? Of course. I've seen Tua do it, where he gets flushed out of the pocket and he has to go make a play in the throw, and he does it. But is that his game? Can he do what like Jalen Hurts does? I know Jalen Hurts is not half the passer that this guy is, but still, at least Jalen is getting better at passing. But he can't do those things because he's not that athlete. It's not who he is. He's not even Pat Mahomes type of athlete. So now he's going to see, and now he's going to be disappointed that Tua's not an off-script guy, and he's going to hold it against Tua instead of holding it against his IQ. Okay? And then that's where it gets, and to me, that's where this bullshit doesn't fly on this show. And that's why I lost it already at this point, because I've been dealing with the rain and snow stupidity for a year now, when that's never been brought up for any quarterback in the history of the NFL, except for Tua, which is the dumbest thing in the world. And so now we start moving the goalpost again. Oh, well, no, now let's see. Oh, no, he played great in Buffalo, but now let me see if he's off script. No, dude, he's not Josh Allen. That's not who he is, and that's not who he's ever going to be. So, Gary says, Dave Hyde wrote a column today stating that Josh Allen is the QB Tua needs to be in order to be considered great. He said Herbert is almost there. Whatever. This is the kind of stuff that in a couple years, this will all be settled. And in a couple years, if Tua's balling, right, and then you can turn to Dave Hyde and say, so he's kicking ass. He's not Josh Allen. What's your point? And then he'll be, it's the same shit. No big deal. Love Dave. He's been off about Tua from the get-go. He hasn't been a believer. He's been a disbeliever, okay? That's just kind of who he's been. Can't do anything about that. By the way, Sports Girl's got 7 great locations all throughout South Florida, baby. And right now, $1.50 Bud Light drafts during NCAA and NFL games. We got a Monday night game going on tonight. They added 2 new cocktails, the cherry lemonade and the tailgate tea. Only $5 during the NCAA and NFL games. $12 domestic pitchers. Bone-in wings are now only 15% off. Buttermilk chicken sandwich was added to the menu, and it is absolutely delicious. Today is Monday. You can get the $7 single smash burger. 7 great locations. An 8th one is coming in Doral. Go to sportsgrill.com and find out. All right, what do we got? Why is it so hard to accept that teams have taken away his strength of throwing in the middle of the field? Robbie, did you see the touchdown of Waddle in the middle of the field? Is that taking away the strength? Braylon Sanders was wide open if he just keeps running. That was a touchdown down the middle of the field. It was a bomb. But thanks for playing. I appreciate it. Funny thing is, Braylon Sanders' pass is the definition off script. Tua rolled out of the pocket and threw that across his body on the run. Oh, actually, I think you're right about that. I think you're right. I mean, again, it's not his thing, but is he going to make a play or two? Sure, but that's not what he's going to live off of. So... he would have won this game minus the horrible play calling on offense. We had them on their heels. San Fran, he was off, but receivers failed him this week. He was off the last 2 weeks. Okay, I'm not going to give Tua a break for the last 2 weeks. But on Saturday night, he did everything you had to do to win. Ken Dorsey outthinks the Bills offense, brings in different packages every play. Ridiculous when Allen goes no huddle, no substitutions. Try and stop him. Yeah, he's a freak, bro. He's a freak. And let me tell you something. He's still not accurate because he leaves plays on the field every week. Every week he leaves plays on the field. Michael says, I know Chubb has been pretty quiet, but do you think the explosion of Phillips in the past few weeks has anything to do with the addition of Chubb? Michael, here's what I would tell you and everybody else that keeps asking or commenting like they know something about Chubb. Please watch the film. He's not being double teamed all the time. His chip blocking once in a while, and it's the kind of chip blocking that if you're a stud, you can make those idiots cones. You know, like Boza did to two Dolphins on his way to Tua. You remember that? When you're a badass, just watch the film. He's not being, because I saw some guy on Twitter. Oh, yeah, really? No, that guy's being double teamed all the time and opening up. No, you just don't watch. You assume that. You think because Chubb came in with the name, you traded the pick, you gave him the money, all that stuff, and you think he's attracting double teams, but you're actually not really watching the game. You actually didn't actually go back and watch the line play. It would depress you. Chubb is just there, dude. He's not doing anything. And he's not opening up a goddamn thing for Phillips or Wilkins. Wilkins has gotten better and better and better and better every single year without the help of anybody. He makes others better. Jalen Phillips had 8.5 sacks as a rookie. Okay? And he's playing well. Sealer has always played well. Bradley Chubb has had zero influence on Sealer, on Wilkins, and Phillips. That's an insult to Jalen, to Christian, and to Zach. That's an absolute insult to their work ethic, their motor, their desire, their fire, and the way that they play every single down. Any of you out there that dare to credit Bradley Chubb, you're insulting the three guys that have been working on building their careers, and they work tirelessly. Christian Wilkins doesn't need Bradley Chubb's help to be special. Christian Wilkins was kicking ass when Ogbah was doing nothing, and he's kicking ass while Chubb is doing nothing. Nothing has changed. Kind of changes, right? It kind of enlightens you there, right? Oh, shit, that's right. Ogbah was doing nothing, and Christian Wilkins was kicking ass. Ogbah's out in Chubb, and, yeah, I can't assume that Chubb's doing anything. Let me go watch the film. Oh, O's right. Chubb's doing nothing. Go watch it. Wilkins doesn't need Chubb to be a stud. Back up the Brinks truck and pay the man his money. Okay. Yeah. Chubb is below average, Willie. Not even average. Below average. There are no game-changing plays. Nothing, bro. No sacks, no big tackles for losses, no big stops on runs. He's below average for the draft pick and the money you're paying him. He is an absolute waste right now. Okay? Now, we can't give up on Bradley Chubb. This is maybe, I don't know. Maybe he's got to figure it out or whatever. It's too early to give up on the man, but I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up his ass. Or like I told you, this is not your show. I'm not sitting here to tell you, make excuses for Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb has no excuses. He has Christian Wilkins, Jalen Phillips, and Sealer that are playing their asses off. Offenses have to worry about those guys, not him. He needs to make sure that they're worried about him because it's one-on-one mostly with him. So there we go. Don't know why on earth our edge defenders start in a standing position. There's a reason sprinters start in a 3-point stance. Well, I don't know. He's not bad, but too extreme is right. He gives up on a lot of plays. On who are you talking about? Chubb? I just watch it. I just want you to go back and watch. Just go watch the defensive plays. Put your eyes on number 2. By the way, they're moving him around. They're putting him on the left side and the right side. So they're trying to give him and free him up and move him around. And there's, what more can you do if you're Josh Boyer? What can you do? I don't know what you can do. Feed him some kind of speed or something. I don't know. Oh, man. If Chubb plays poorly to begin next season, I'll agree he's a waste. Until then, until he fully knows the system and can rush without hesitation, don't knock the man. Well, I got to tell you, there are times where he just has the ability to go get the guy, and that's what a pass rusher loves to do, and he can't get there. We are close to becoming the comparison to FTX crypto, bro. No, I wouldn't go that far. Did I miss out? Let's see. Off script, like Tua rushing for first downs against LA. Yeah. He'll do some off script stuff. It's ridiculous to think that all of a sudden that's how you're going to measure who Tua is as a quarterback. That's just unfair to him. And Marcel is setting himself up to be disappointed, and then he's going to take it out on Tua when it's his fault that he's got a wrong point of view. In fact, you know what? I just thought about this. Can anybody find that video of Fitzpatrick talking about Tua? And I think this is early on, and Tua's talking about how he was talking about what his secret weapon is and its accuracy and all that, because he's not going to be an off-script guy. Because I think, if I remember correctly, I'm kind of paraphrasing, but if I remember correctly, the way even Fitz described his own former teammate and friend of his is that he's not going to be an off-script guy. He's going to live off of the pocket and accuracy and anticipation and all those kind of things that make him what he is. I would love to find that video. That's the one we've got to send Marcel. So Marcel can actually see another quarterback actually saying it. That would be good. All right, there he is. He's locked and loaded, straight from Montreal. Well, used to be. Now he's here in South Florida with a Montreal Expos hat. And that is Alan Poupart, ready to go with our EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report.
Dolphins fans, time to get insight on your favorite team with your favorite reporter with an Expos hat. Sports Illustrated's Alan Poupart in our EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report, exclusively on a Big O radio show.
All righty, there he is. You ready to rock? You ready to roll?
Both of them.
I like it. All right, so I wanted a great performance from them, at least. Show a respectable performance, not the shit you've done the last 2 weeks. I would say mission accomplished, right, on Saturday night, right? Really respectable performance.
Without question. Yeah, respectable. I don't know if I go great, which actually is even better because they didn't play a perfect game. They played a very good game that they easily could have won, maybe should have won.
Should have won.
I left feeling that game, even though it's a third consecutive loss, personally feeling a lot better about this team than I did coming into the game.
Dude, I could not be more disappointed with Mike McDaniel. I don't know about you, and his excuses on those third and shorts were unacceptable. You're gouging them. Your running backs are running for over 7 yards. a carry. If you would have at least half the time tried it on those third downs and failed, then okay. But you passed every time and you failed. You put Braylon Sanders in a position that, my God, young man, just run, child, run, and you might run into a touchdown, and you could have put Cedric there, or you could have put Gesicki or somebody. You put a neophyte in that position. You take a 2-point conversion at the beginning of the game when that's ridiculous. You're moving the ball. You're on the road. Bro, take the point. I thought McDaniel had a terrible game as a head coach. I thought he made the decisions that ruined that game. Even on the third and shorts, I think he would have gotten a couple of those, which would have extended drives, which would have burnt more clock, which might have produced more points. And you already left points on the board. And then Sherfield and Hill both dropped touchdowns in one possession. I know you don't feel that, but those passes were perfect. Mac Hollins made a catch for the Raiders. That was tougher than the Trent Sherfield catch. And the announcer was going, great pass by Derek, because that's the only place you can put it, just like Sherfield's the only place you can put it. Sherfield's got to come up with it.
It was totally catchable, and the Tyreek Hill was totally catchable, but they were tough catches.
Oh, so you changed. Okay. All right.
About what?
No, you said those weren't that good of throws, and they weren't as catchable. And O.J. McDuffie corrected your ass.
I never said they were bad throws, ever.
No, not bad, but they weren't good enough for something.
I was pushing against the notion of calling them out clear, out-and-out drops. I said they were both catchable balls, which is also what I tweeted in the first half. Okay, whatever, we can haggle. That's fine. I tweeted in the first half of the game on Saturday night that the receivers were not doing any favors for Tua by not making any difficult catch. And if you want to be honest about it,
2 weeks in a row, by the way.
Forget 2 weeks in a row. Forget 2 weeks in a row. How many difficult catches have Dolphin receivers made this year? Not a ton.
Tyreek's made a bunch. Yeah, Tyreek's made a bunch.
Difficult catches. He made a couple where he's adjusted well to the ball. But this is not. If we're going to talk about hands, this is not a great hands receiving core. It's fast as hell, but it's not.
Well, if you don't want to use Gesicki, that's your effing problem, not mine.
Yeah, somebody's going to have to explain that one to me. They
can't explain it to you. They can't explain it to you because there's no common sense to it. Just like when he said, well, the defense was expecting us to run or whatever. Or, I'm paraphrasing. I'm like, I watched the defense. They were right in the face of your receivers. They were actually, here's an interesting thing that I brought up earlier on the show. So you needed to run the ball, and you chose not to when you're gouging them. Interesting how the ignorance steps in on that. So you come from a running offense, which is what Shanahan and all that is. The base of it is running. Well, years ago, Shanahan had a 25-point lead in a Super Bowl. And all he had to do was what? Run the goddamn ball, and did not run the ball. And he kept being hard-headed and passing. Interesting how the Padawan has the same bad habits as the Jedi. Yeah,
and sometimes it reeks to me of at times smart guys trying to be too smart. That's an issue. I personally could not have hated the 3rd and 1 call. The pass of Durham Smythe morph. I mean, that thing never had a shot. I mean, you just see you look at the replay, see how many Buffalo defenders are lined up right at the line of scrimmage, the line he had to gain for the first down. He had 0 shot. And on top of everything else, the execution was bad because there was immediate pressure where the play didn't have a chance to be done properly. And same thing with the bubble screen to Tyreek Hill. Because we forget the Dolphins had the ball when it was 29-29 before Buffalo went on that 6-minute drive to win the game. The Dolphins had the ball and they were in Buffalo territory. And the drive went, it went like this. And the big reason was the bubble screen call. And on that one, I don't know if I hated the call more than I hated the execution. And it started with Tyreek not selling anything at all.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Backing off Elam at the line of scrimmage, and Elam was right on top. Elam almost made the catch.
Almost made the catch, yeah.
I don't know if that's part of it. If you saw Tyreek Hill put out a tweet basically apologizing for his performance, and I'm going to come back stronger. And I don't know if that was part of it. And
Well, he also has to feel like shit that he dropped a touchdown too.
And it's not like he's not sold it before. I mean, if he takes 2 really hard steps forward, how far back do you think Elam is by that time? Scared
he gets all the space he needs. Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then you come back for it, and he just didn't make a move, and I don't understand it. And that blew up the whole play. So it was look, and I said Tua played very, very well against Buffalo. The issues again, left too many points on the field, and they couldn't get off the field on third down.
One more thing that I got to bring up to you, because you have age, okay, just like I do. And I think it's something that none of us realize, okay, except for me, of course, because I'm on that side. Can you remember a quarterback ever that we said, oh, can he play in the snow or the rain? How screwed up is that? Because it's the stupidest thing in the world. Everyone plays in the snow and the rain. Everyone. Kids play in the snow and the rain.
Except
everyone. We've
You're
never done that for any quarterback in the history of time. Just because somebody had a bad game in bad weather doesn't mean they can't play. We never said if David Craig with his small hands could play in the rain, bro. And you're old enough for me to say that shit. It's the most ridiculous and insulting thing that we do to Tua, that we put these lines in front of him that we've never put for any quarterback in the history of the game. You can't name one guy ever. We never said that about Penn Hill. We never said that about Pat White. We never said that about Beck. None of these guys that they ever come out, whoa, can they play in the rain? Can they play in the snow? Can they play in the cold? Can they do this? And he doesn't even have small hands.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. No, you're right. I can't remember it happening before. But here's the issue. The issue is that in those cold games he had in his first 2 seasons, regardless of other circumstances around, he did not play well. He did not throw the ball well. And then, he made the comment himself after the Tennessee game, which didn't help his cause in this particular situation, about the rain giving him a hard time. Had he not said anything,
he doesn't help himself out in the first year when he says, I didn't really know the entire playbook.
Correct.
Of course you didn't, because you're not the starter. The offensive coordinator is buddy with the other quarterback, and they're kind of focusing on getting ready and trying to win games. They're not worried about you nearly as much. So they're not going to teach you nearly as much. So I can understand why you may not know the entire playbook by the end of the year. Plus, it really wasn't suited for you as it is. So, I can kind of understand that. His honesty is held against him, dude. You know what I mean? Like, this happens against him,
here's the thing. If we want to play that game of
he's the one that tells you that short quarterbacks have a different, and all of a sudden we have a whole bunch of people that watch football, and they start telling us, because I'm sure you got it, oh, the Dolphins drafted a short quarterback. How stupid is that? Don't you know that a shitload of short quarterbacks that played in this league? That's normal, dude. Come on.
It was stupid, and we discussed it at the time, and it wasn't like, oh, it's a great revelation that yes, he's not as tall as other quarterbacks. Duh.
It's not a revelation. It's just you're stupid and you don't know football. That's what it is. Because that's
I was
normal.
being sarcastic.
Anybody that went off on that comment, it's you. You really don't know football. That's all it is.
No, I understand that. I am just playing devil. I'm playing devil's advocate here. And again, the track record for his performances in cold weather before Saturday night was not good. And then he made those comments. You have to understand that that's going to bring up the question, whether we like it or not, fair or not. Okay, but he answered the question because he had a very good performance.
Yeah, but it's just,
which is another reason again to feel better after the loss, even though it's a third straight loss. Because you may not like it, you may not have had any doubt whatsoever.
No,
but all we can go by at the NFL level is that he had not played well in bad weather conditions.
I know that, but I didn't have any doubts because that's never existed in the history of the game. It's never existed.
Quarterbacks you can't perform as well.
Who was it that was like labeled like, oh, he can't play in the rain, he can't play in the cold? Who?
You're also talking about a high first-round pick, Big O. That's the thing.
I know, but it's never happened. Nobody's ever gone through that, dude. Even while they're playing, we don't even remember any guys that, oh, yeah, no, that guy. Now, you know what we do remember? The guy that doesn't play well on prime time. Remember, like, was it Andy Dalton or there's certain guys that Kirk Cousins, right? That's exactly, that's another one that, like, they go to prime time or the playoffs and, that I understand, whether it's sunny, nighttime, raining, snow. No, we never talk about the elements. It's just the prime time that I've heard. I've never heard anybody talk about that. And look, here's the other thing. Like, I lost it with Marcel on Saturday night. So he goes to me, okay, he played well. Now we got to see how he does off script. And I'm like, Marcel, what the hell are you doing now? You're now moving the goalpost again? That's not who he is. He's not going to be Mahomes. He's not going to be young Russell Wilson. He's going to be Peyton Manning and Brady and Breeze and Montana, and he's going to be a pocket passer, bro. He'll make some things. Yeah, the Baltimore Ravens game where he spins and yeah, he'll make a play or two, but he's not going to live like Josh Allen. And I thought that was, again, unfair on Marcel's part because he's now setting himself up to be disappointed because there's no way Tua lives up to that because he's not the off-script guy.
Or
if
maybe
off-script, it's desperation off-script.
Or maybe, and hear me out on this, maybe Marcel wants to anoint him the way you'd like him to anoint him, and for him, that's the final step together. I'm with you. That's not his game. And if
please tell him that. Please tell him that.
Okay.
Please tell him that. Please.
Okay.
Please tell him. I tried to explain to him. By the way, when you do explain that, he's going to call you old, and he's going to say that that doesn't fly in today's NFL. That you all have to be athletic and this and that. And then I told them, okay, so where are all the athletic titles? Where are the athletic quarterbacks? Are they winning titles? Last time I checked. I mean, eventually they will because 20 years from now, the NFL will be littered with athletic quarterbacks. But for now, the pocket passers are the ones winning all the titles.
Mahomes won a Super Bowl, and when Brady retires, but there will come a time when.
But last year,
it might be needed.
Last year,
it was Matthew
two pocket passers.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Stafford and by the way, the best of the young quarterbacks is the guy in Cincinnati, and he doesn't live off script. Is he going to do something off script?
He can make plays off script. He can make.
He can make plays, but that's not what he lives like. That's not who he is. You know what I mean? He's a pure pocket passer, and absolutely badass too. By the way, Jesus Christ, that kid is the real deal. All right, so we look at Bradley Chubb. What the hell is going on with Bradley Chubb? Brother, I watched the film. He rarely gets double teamed. The chip blocks are kind of weak. I saw one chip block where, I saw what Boza did to our chip blocks. He used them like traffic cones. What is up with Bradley Chubb? Because if you actually watch the film, because some people say, he's double teaming. He's opening it up for Wilkins. Oh, crap, dude. Wilkins has been a badass and getting better every year on his own. Jalen Phillips had 8.5 sacks last year. His motor doesn't stop. And Sealer kicks ass no matter what. Chubb has done nothing for them. In fact, I will argue that they're doing everything for Bradley Chubb to go do his job, and he's not doing it. So please, you watch the film. Enlighten us on Bradley Chubb.
Is it possible that maybe we all expected too much out of Bradley Chubb, and it could be that maybe he's just a good above average player and not Von Miller light, something like that. And here's the thing. Here's the thing to me that was very troubling in rewatching the game. Key sequence on that final game-winning drive that was excruciating, that the Dolphins had chances. Sealer gets a sack. Now they got Buffalo in the 2nd and 18. And it's a prime game-winning situation right there. They rush 4 on the next play, and the 4 they're rushing are Christian Wilkins, Zach Sealer, John Jenkins, and Jalen Phillips. And
you noticed that, right?
Sorry?
Yeah, you noticed they took him off the field. Yeah.
Where the absolute hell is Bradley Chubb? And that's it. Is now, or where the hell is Melvin Ingram? Isn't that a situation that screams for both of them? So, and then what happens? Allen has all day to throw, and Gabriel Davis eventually comes back, gains 15 yards, makes it a 3rd and 3, and then they convert and go on. But to answer your question, yeah, I think maybe because I've looked at him, and there's nothing that really jumps out in terms of what he does athletically.
Right, nothing.
I see his numbers.
And again, can you back me up here? He doesn't get double teamed all the time. Rarely, actually.
No.
Rarely.
Yeah.
So anybody that tells
where
you
he
about
came in,
getting double teamed, you can tell that person really does not watch the games. Okay, just so you'll know. Anybody that tells you that out there, he rarely faces double teams. It's insane.
Yeah.
In fact, he should be rarely facing double teams the way Christian Wilkins is playing, with the way Jalen Phillips is playing, because Jesus Christ, those guys don't stop, man. They are fun to watch. When you watch the film, go look at Bradley and then look at the other two, and it's like, wow, it's night and day. It's night and day.
Dude, I also made the argument last week that I think maybe they traded for the wrong linebacker at the trade deadline, and maybe it was the guy from Chicago they needed to get, because they still also could use a major impact inside linebacker. And I talked to my buddies in Baltimore, and they're going crazy over what Roquan Smith's doing for that defense.
Josh Allen takes up off the middle, and it's Duke Riley. So I tweet out Zach Thomas, John Offerdahl, Nick Bonacani, Duke Riley. What's wrong in this picture? It's like, and Duke's a great guy, okay? But he's probably a 4th linebacker on a real linebacking core, okay? That's really what he is. He's probably the guy you want coming off the bench, filling in for one of your guys. And I know he's a great effort guy, and he's got all kinds of great leadership qualities, and he's probably one of the best interviews out there to talk to and all of that. And he's a solid player.
Correct.
You know, in fact, you get more out of him than you will get out of Eguavon. And so, you know, I like
who? Out of who?
Eguavon.
Okay.
I'm just doing a little French, bro. Come on, you know.
Yeah.
Trying to be a little bit more cultured here on the show.
Dude, they don't have a difference making inside linebacker. Let's be honest.
None.
I mean,
Zero.
Not anywhere near that. So.
And how lost must Tyndall be at this point?
Yeah.
That they can't put him on the field. That's the and listen, that's normal. By the way, before any of you freak out, that happens with linebackers all the time. Defensive tackles, offensive linemen, sometimes they just don't have that first year. It's some of them, it's so much for them that, you know, usually
let's not pretend he was like the 15th pick in the draft.
No, but what I'm saying, it doesn't matter. I've seen guys, you know, in their first year not be much, not do much. That's kind of, in those positions, I've seen it before. It's not something that's completely abnormal, in other words. You know what I'm saying? But man,
at least he's active, unlike at least he's active, unlike Azukama.
Yeah, which is crazy, right? Because he tore it up in preseason, yet Braylon Sanders, the undrafted guy, jumps him and gets and by the way, every time he's been out there, he has not performed. So
yep,
you know. That one's kind of tough. What else did you see in this game that you liked outside of the Bradley Chubb stuff that we don't like? Give me something that you did like that we didn't talk about.
I like how the offensive line held up. Robert Hunt had 2 false starts, but I noticed him on some run blockings where he's clearing up like gigantic holes. I mean, the right side, Mostert was making a killing over there. And I noticed Hunt's the one I noticed the most. I noticed Brandon Shell also great job in run blocking. Connor Williams a couple of times. I mean, Mostert was great there, but he had some gigantic holes.
In fact, when I saw Shell a couple times, I was like, "There's no way Eric Fisher gets any shot to start. He'll be the fill-in guy from here on out because." Brandon, even if Austin Jackson comes back, there's no way you take Brandon Shell out, bro. I mean, he has been a really nice find in the middle of the season. God, that one's a good find.
No, really that one was good. Right. So, yeah, no, I really like the Yeah, the work of the offensive line, that was very impressive. They only gave up 2 sacks against a Buffalo defense that, excuse me, going through puberty here. Buffalo defense's pass rush actually had been very good even after they lost Miller, and the Dolphins pretty much kept them in check. There was 2 sacks, including one on another 3rd and 1 where they're dropping Tua back to pass. Can't say I like that at all. That play call either, going back to how we started the conversation. But no, that's the thing that stood out to me. And again, the fact that they went toe-to-toe with the Bills, easily could have won. And I wrote a column on Sunday morning. Like I said, there's reason to feel better now than before the game, even though they lost again.
I'll give you something else I feel better about, and I think the Dolphin Nation should feel better about moving into these last final games and hopefully into the playoffs. Jason Sanders. Jason Sanders looks like he's in a groove. That kick he hit, he nailed it right down the middle, obviously, and in tough situations, cold conditions. The wind wasn't howling, so that was a little bit of a break for everybody, passers and kickers. But still, it was a concern for us. But over the last couple of weeks, Jason has been nailing some field goals and some from a distance.
No, without question. I mean, he's looking like 2020 Jason Sanders. And that could be big in the playoffs because those games logically figure to be close.
Alan, any way to fix the return game? Is there anything out there on that team that they have it outside of, obviously going with Tyreek or Waddle, but you don't want that. Is there anything else you would try that you don't think they've tried?
I just don't see it. I mean, it's like I think they're satisfied with Cedric Wilson fielding the punts cleanly and getting you 10 yards here and there.
What is it, Scott Miller?
Scott Schwades. I was going back even farther than you.
Oh, that too. Scott Schwades too. Scott Miller, Scott Schwades. It was the guy that Shula could just settle for because he would catch the ball. That's it. It was like people would complain to Shula, well, why don't you get someone? Yeah, I want a returner too, but I need somebody that at least can catch the ball. That's what you guys don't understand. He was trying to tell people it's really important just to hang on to the ball, first of all. Yeah, I would love to get a guy that can return it 50 yards, but I can't find that now, so I got to find a guy that can catch the ball. And I guess that's what Cedric. That's an expensive fair catcher, I got to say.
Yeah, and that was the 2 offseason decisions now that I look back on and go, okay.
Well, but it's not their fault. Tyreek became available and that, I can't.
Well, and it's the same, and it's the same thing. It's the same thing with Gesicki. They tagged him at the time before they made the trade to Tyreek Hill and figuring that maybe we'll need him in the passing game. And once they got Tyreek, the whole configuration of the offense changed, and it was like, he doesn't really fit into the puzzle anymore. And so now they're stuck with 2 guys that they're paying a combined like $18 million to do very little. Going back to the return game, I'm more bothered by it seems every game there's a decent sized return against. I can live with the Dolphins never getting a long return. It is what it is. They don't have Jakeem Grant anymore. But even the longest kickoff return in the game Saturday night was by the Bills. Again, it was 36 yards, which isn't gigantic, but the Dolphins are not getting anything more than 25. So
Josh Allen doesn't need any extra help, is what you're saying.
Pretty much, correct. And even against the Chargers, there was a 20-yard punt return. So eliminate those, and I can live with the lack of long returns by the Dolphins themselves.
All right, what are you working on alldolphins.com so every Dolphin fan in the world follows it? Remember, you're not a Dolphin fan if you don't bookmark alldolphins.com. Once you do that, you're officially a Miami Dolphins fan anywhere in the world. What do you got for us?
Well, before I came on, I was just about to wrap up a story that deals with a subject we touched on here, the 3rd and short issues. And actually, it's even more specified. This is 3rd and 1, where it may shock you to find out the Dolphins are last in the NFL in success rate. And so I dug up some interesting, eye-opening numbers on that issue, delved into the problems, and I was about to publish it right before I came on with you, and then I'm going to go back to it right now. And then Mike McDaniel's addressing the media later this afternoon, so we'll see what he has to say, and obviously, chronicle everything he says, and then see if are any stories of interest coming out of that.
All right. Appreciate you as always, my brother. We will catch up later on in the week. Follow him on Twitter, by the way, at Poupart NFL. Alan, as always, thank you, my man. Appreciate you. Oh, and by the way, when you see Marcel, tell him that Tua's not one of those kind of quarterbacks.
Okay.
Enlighten his ass. Okay?
Will do.
And he'll call you old later.
I wear it proudly.
Yeah, me too. But that's what he did later. He called me old. Oh, that happened 20 years ago, 40 years ago, you old fart. That's not how football is played anymore. Don't you know us young whippersnappers? We know how football is played, not you old farts. So Marcel treated me like an old fart on Saturday night. So reach out to Marcel. Please send him the Fitzpatrick video. Okay? We can't play it here because then we get tagged and all that stuff. I don't feel like dealing with the NFL. They have money. I don't. You know what I mean? Sean and I are just working stiffs. We're not here to challenge the NFL. So, what's it called? If you can find it, send it to me. If not, I'll send it to Marcel. So maybe he could get an education there on what kind of a quarterback Tua is. Okay? What are we doing here? All right. I don't know what the hell that is. All right. Anyway, let's tell you a little bit about Nature B, because Nature B is, for me, those 2 golden capsules every single day, baby. They will power you through your day. And listen, right now, we got a great deal going on. You buy 2 months, you get the 3rd month for free. Yeah, and free shipping. So 2 months are $66. All right? Think about this. You get the 3rd month. That is less than $1 a day to get that protection, to boost that immune system, to keep that energy going all day long. Stronger nails, fuller hair, great for the indigestion. I mean, there's so many ways that plant pollen can help. You can read up on it, natural plant pollen, the benefits of it. And it comes straight from Clean Green, New Zealand, baby. Not in some, lab somewhere made by some guy in a suit. No, man. Straight from Mother Nature. Kids can take it. Adults can take it. My daughter's been taking it since she was a child. We have less colds in the house. And as a guy that works with his voice every day, I hate having a cold. And if you've watched this show, listened to this show for the last 30 years, well, especially the last 20 years that I've been taking Nature B, actually, you'll see that I rarely ever have a cold. And that I attribute it all to Nature B for the last 20 years. Go to natureb.com. Check out all the other products, man. Wrinkle cream, my wife loves. The soap is absolutely awesome. We've got the cough drops, the Manuka honey right there, baby. These are absolutely delicious. So if you got a sore throat, like a person like me that talks a lot, you need that. They've got so many different products. You can go check it out. natureb.com. Use our code Big O. Get the 2 months, get the 3rd month for free and free shipping. Use the code Big O at natureb.com. Hour number 3 is next. Andy Behrens is going to join us. We will answer your fantasy football questions. So line them up here on the chat board. Let's go. All right, you got some questions? Line them up on the chat board. Send them in on YouTube at Big O Show. Andy Behrens from Yahoo Sports starts hour number 3.
Welton Rayom has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They're committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. Property damage claims to your home, business, or condo as a result of a hurricane. Welton Rayom can help. Water, mold, fire, smoke damage, Welton Rayom can help. Call 954-966-4646.
Oh, great. You have a doorbell camera. Now you have a front row seat to your house getting robbed.
They're breaking into my house!
Ooh, there goes the TV. I'm sure it'll turn up at the pawn shop.
No, not the TV!
Just because you can see them, that doesn't mean you can stop them. With Sloman's, you get 24-hour monitoring, a free home security system, and professional installation. Plus, free doorbell camera, one that'll actually work for you.
Get out of my house! Get out of the house!
Call 1-800-ALARM-ME.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
Welcome to Red Light Therapy, a revolutionary technology perfected by NASA to aid in muscle strengthening and recovery. Red and infrared light has the capacity to penetrate deep into the cell's mitochondria, potentially leading to increased energy, faster recovery, and the optimal performance your body demands. Train, fight, recover.
Statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. PPR, Draft, Keeper, Dynasty. It's the Sports Grill, Fantasy Football Zone with Yahoo Sports' Andy Behrens. Keep up with your fantasy football teams by visiting any of the 8 great Sports Grill locations. Sports Grill, good food, good drink, good friends. Here's Andy Behrens.
All righty, there he is. How you feeling, my man? You feeling good?
I'm feeling good because my 2 favorite songs in the rotation right now are the Cutter's Edge theme and the Sports Grill theme. Those are 2 bangers to lead into my segment. Yes. That is part of what makes this my favorite
these are
segment
facts.
Of any kind that I do all week.
These are just facts. I got to admit that Cutter's Edge, that one gets me every single time, bro.
It's so out of sync with like whatever I don't think of when I think of landscaping. I don't normally think right. Absolute head banging, thrashing. But like that, I would listen to that to fire myself up for almost anything. That really, I'm ready to go. And then I don't sleep on the Sports Grill theme either.
Of course, no, you can't sleep on the Sports Grill theme. You got to always be on top of that. By the way, you got to be happy the way Tua played. Tua played well. Yep. If only Tyreek and or Sherfield would actually hang on to a goddamn touchdown there in the beginning of the game. And Braylon Sanders, for Christ's sake, run, young man, run. Stop. It's like, I was joking around in the postgame show. You know how you look at your car mirror on the side, it says objects appear closer than they really see. I think he had that on his shield or something, and he thought the football was a lot closer when it sailed like 10 yards behind him because Tua threw it in stride. Do you remember the play on 4th down against the Bills earlier in the season when he split the safeties?
Oh, yeah.
Same play.
Yeah. I've got a lot
that was the same exact play that they were trying, and they had it, but the youngin, like, had a brain fart, and so
Yeah,
he should have got 4 touchdowns in that game.
I've got a lot of Tyreek Hill, so the ball that pretty much I think any great receiver would say the same thing. If they get both hands on a ball, even if anything would have been exceptional about the catch, like they should haul it in. Tyreek Hill is that caliber of player. But it was just like overall from a fantasy perspective. I know a loss, like any loss, is going to be disappointing in real life if you're a Dolphins fan. Huge sigh of relief, huge sigh of relief, because they obviously got a few things figured out. They pounded the ball on the ground. Mostert looked great. And that is going to be, one important counter. Like if teams are going to drop, a whole bunch of defenders into the middle of the field, to clutter things up, knowing where, Tua and Mike McDaniel want to put the ball generally. You're going to have to be able to run against that, right? Like if defenses are going to give themselves a lighter front at the snap of the football, you've got to be able to get 5 yards, 6 yards every single time they do it. And Mostert, I thought, looked exceptional. And you're running like that, and it's going to free some stuff up for your elite receivers. So that was great to see. It was just overall, it was. Again, I'm sure you guys are disappointed as fans, but from a purely fantasy perspective, it was a huge relief to see Tua get back on track.
Yeah, no, I actually feel good about the team because I thought they played well. I thought actually McDaniel screwed up that game. He should have run a lot more on those short yardage situations. The going for the 2-point conversion so early was dumb. There was just things that really could have helped out the team, but unfortunately they couldn't get it done. All right, you guys got some questions here. You got some fantasy questions, some playoff fantasy questions, because the playoffs are starting now. They should be starting in most leagues. Send them in here on the YouTube chat board, of course, and you can send them in on Twitter at Big O Show, on the Welt and Rayom text line at 855-912-1056. That's 855-912-1056. And, of course, you can send in your questions with a super chat. It'll stand out. Or on Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That's an easy way to see it at Cash Big O Show. So let me ask you something. Would you even gamble with Tyler Algiers in a week like this? No, right?
Well, listen, I mean, everybody's got, ideally, if you're in the playoff semifinals, you have better options than a guy who's in a job share for Atlanta. I get that, but I don't want to diminish what Algiers been doing. He's a guy that I was really bullish on coming into the season. You think about the scenario here. He's a talented rookie at like 1,800 yards, total yards last year at BYU, like something like 23 touchdowns. Like he was a really good college player who stepped into a situation where it's just like, an aging kick returner is the running back, right? So like there was an immediate opportunity here for Algier to establish himself, certainly as the running back of the future, if not the running back of the present. And then he, a week like that against New Orleans, he delivers 17 carries, 139 yards, a touchdown. He's now up to 5 yards per carry on the season. Like there's just not many rookies that are running any better than he does. It's really fun to watch too, because he just pinballs off people, right? Like, I don't know exactly the missed tackle totals are, but I know he came into the week averaging something like 3.2 yards after contact per carry. He's been great. He's been really, really fun to watch. The matchups ahead for him, it's Baltimore on the horizon. That's not great. And then it's Arizona after that. We just saw Latavius Murray go off against Arizona. So I think he needs to be on a roster. Obviously he would probably need something to happen to Cordero Patterson to really fall into a situation where he's getting, 25, potentially even 30 touches. But as it is, we know that Atlanta just wants to run, almost without regard to game situation. They're going to run the ball, like probably twice as often as they throw it. They're in the Desmond Ridder era now, right? So like even in a game where they were trailing early, they still only let Ridder throw the ball 26 times. So they're gonna run the ball all day, and Algier is a big part of it.
Okay, this is an interesting question from Jason Thomas. Should I give up on Mark Andrews?
Man,
The thing is, when do you get Lamar back? If you get Lamar back in the next week or two, then you've got to hang on to him, because the second Lamar comes back, Mark Andrews becomes valuable at that time. You got something. I get it now with Huntley and company. That's not going to get you anywhere. I understand that. Even though you would figure the tight end would be the higher percentage passes, that he would at least still get action with Huntley. So what do you do there?
Yeah, I will remind people that part of the argument on behalf of Andrews over the last couple of weeks is that Huntley was great with him last year. Like Andrews' numbers with Huntley were spectacular. I think the real problem with Andrews is he's playing through some stuff, right? Like he's banged up and clearly not playing at the level that he was early in the season. But this is now 7 straight games for him in which he hasn't topped 63 yards. Like I think that's his high watermark. The problem here is that who are you going to get? Like, who are you going to get that you trust at tight end? There's nobody out there. Juwan Johnson is scoring a lot, but he's not catching a lot of passes. Like this is just sort of a fluky touchdown situation. Like we're gonna look at his numbers next year and just scream touchdown regression, and we're gonna be right. There's nobody out there who's available in all likelihood who's just piling up stats. The one name I guess I could think of that's available in about 50% of Yahoo leagues is fake tight end Taysom Hill, right? He's doing everything on the field except playing tight end, but that is how they list him. So that's where he's eligible in fantasy. He's getting a couple of pass attempts each game. He's getting like 6-7 carries each game, and they like him near the goal line. So I suppose if you wanted to go with Taysom Hill and you saw him as a high upside guy, that would be fine. I know I haven't been ranking Mark Andrews as my number 1 or 2 tight end in the last few weeks because I think we're there.
What are you going to do?
I think we've arrived at a point where TJ Hawkinson certainly is seeing a lot more action than he is, but we do presumably have Lamar coming back this week, and Lamar coming back with a matchup against Atlanta. That's relatively friendly. So Andrews is going to start for most people. Congratulations to you if you've actually made it to the playoff semifinals and you used a second round pick.
He must have another guy. He must have another guy that must be pretty decent.
Yeah, you're probably a team that has like Josh Jacobs, or you've got one of the other guys that is keying people. But
pick up Mike Gesicki. He's getting a lot of play.
Yeah, well, Mike is a perfect example of the dreadful landscape at tight end, right? There's just not a lot of options out there. You really just want to start somebody new because you're tired of seeing 30 or 40 yards from the same old guy. You'd rather get your 30 yards from a new face, I suppose.
The worst part is if Gesicki was in a offense that fitted him, that dude, he'd be killing it, man.
Yeah, right. Most teams use their tight end not as a tight end at all, right? Like most teams have a guy that they just run out there and he's basically a slot receiver and he never blocks, and they're just not doing it with Gesicki. I get it.
Here you got to block somehow. All right, Tesh Patel is asking Pacheco or Najee for next week.
Yeah, pretty annoying if you're a Pacheco manager to see Jerick McKinnon scoring all these touchdowns. I mean, McKinnon's a really good player, right? And it's a little bit of a backfield mix. It is encouraging that Pacheco saw 17 carries. We like that. Pacheco's just got such a good matchup against Seattle. We saw the Panthers just run all over right through Seattle a couple weeks ago. We saw Christian McCaffrey just do it, right? Like that's about as friendly as it gets. Of course, Najee also has a really friendly matchup. He's got the Raiders coming up. He hasn't reached 100 yards all year. He's ceding more and more work to Jaylen Warren. His fantasy lines have been saved by touchdowns. There's a pretty good chance that he finds the end zone against the Raiders too. But I think my ranks are going to actually have Pacheco. Like that's a blow up matchup. I still like his usage, and he's the guy who's tied to the offense that's scoring like 30, 35 points a week, right? So I'm gonna go slightly into Pacheco.
All right, so let me ask you something. Desperation. You got to make some moves going into the playoffs. KJ Osborne was pretty good last year. This year, not so good, but this past week, he blew up 10 receptions, 157 yards, and a touchdown. KJ Osborne is not necessarily owned by a lot of people. Is that a move you would risk in this week?
People probably don't need me to explain that the circumstances in week 15 were highly unusual for KJ Osborne, right? Like falling behind by 5 touchdowns. and then actually coming back. So he sees 16 targets. That's clearly not repeatable, because they're not going to be in that situation again. It's not exactly what the Vikings want to do. I do think that he's put himself on the same plane, the same fantasy tier as Adam Thielen. Thielen is obviously a guy who's kind of on the back nine of his career. Still, scored a touchdown this past week. He's a good player, but he's not like vintage Adam Thielen. And Osborne has now found the end zone in back-to-back weeks. Again, you're not going to see another 16 target game, but I do think he's a useful player. I want to say he's got Green Bay in week 17 too, which is a really friendly matchup. That's a garbage defense. So he's got a little bit of appeal there. The guys that I would put ahead of him on waivers at that position this week, Jahan Dotson is still out there in over 80% of Yahoo leagues, and that kid could be a star someday. He's now seen 15 targets over the last 2 weeks, had a touchdown, obviously, against the Giants, also had that huge field flipping 60-yard catch, contested catch, just a really talented player. He scored 6 times in 9 games. So Dotson, I think, is more interesting. And for a week, I think that Marquise Goodwin is more interesting too.
I was going to ask you about Marquise Godwin.
Yeah, we know that Tyler Lockett's going to miss at least 1 week with that fractured finger. Goodwin isn't, he's not a perfect player, but he'd already been seeing the field a bunch, and Lockett's absence is going to free up like 7 to 9 targets. A lot of that flows to Goodwin, and whatever you think of him, he's one of the fastest men in the NFL. He's got Olympian.
Talent, bro. He can play, dude. Ever since watching him at San Francisco, he's a kid and he can make some things happen. So let me ask you, Zach Moss, where are we with Zach Moss?
Yeah, I wish he were better. This guy's kind of how I feel, right? Like Jonathan Taylor. Oh man. First of all, you feel terrible that Jonathan Taylor has the high ankle sprain, probably going to miss the rest of the year.
Feel terrible for me, bro. I had a 3-man parlay, and I had Cook, Jefferson with the overs of which was whatever yards, and Taylor. Brother, Taylor goes out right at the beginning, and Jefferson and Cook easily achieved their numbers. And I'm like, dude, Taylor would have gotten his. I would have.
You could not have come up with better circumstances for Jonathan Taylor than a multi-score lead, right? Like they win that game, obviously, if they can just feed Jonathan Taylor and he can dominate on the ground. And that is exactly what would have happened. That's how Jeff Saturday wants to play. So it would have been the game of the year for Jonathan Taylor, but unfortunately he goes down early. What you saw from Moss is what you can expect. Inefficient running, nothing explosive. He's not like a creator out there, right? Like if it's blocked for him, he can usually get it. But 24 carries for 81 yards. That's about, he got stonewalled at the goal line on that first series. He also had a couple of funny moments where, like, how last night Brian Robinson like gets himself in a pile and then the pile just kind of moves downfield and his legs keep churning and all that. Like Zach Moss had a couple moments where he got himself in a pile and the pile kept moving, but then Zach Moss was on the ground and the pile left him and kept going. Like you don't see that very often. But he didn't fumble, which Deion Jackson did. So I think you can expect that Zach Moss is going to get the early down work. Deion Jackson will get some of the passing down work. I don't know that they fully trust Deion Jackson anymore. I think it's probably Moss, but that's not super. The one thing that I will say in Moss's favor is that he's got the Chargers coming up, and that has been, for the balance of the season, that has been an extremely friendly matchup for opposing running backs. So maybe he can find the end zone in that one.
All right, what else you got going on Yahoo so folks can check you out, my friend?
Yeah, we're going to have a full pickups podcast today on the Yahoo Fantasy Football Forecast. And then this week, Fantasy Football Live, because of the holiday, we're going to move it to Thursday. So we're going to be on basically in prime time, 7 Eastern, just ahead of the Thursday night game between the Jags and the Jets. Should be a lot of fun.
All right, check it out. And make sure you follow him on Twitter at Andy Behrens. Andy, as always, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Big O. Good luck, everybody.
You got it. There you go. 7 great locations. Go to sportsgrill.com. Listen, you got some Monday Night Football action tonight. You got the Panthers. Aren't they on tonight? Yeah, the Bruins. You got a lot of things to watch. Get on down to Sports Grill, man. Enjoy it. And don't forget, today is Monday. So the $7 single smash burger is going on. Tuesdays, $2 tacos, chicken, beef, and fish. And Wednesdays, the kids eat free with the purchase of an adult entree. Sports Grill Fantasy Football Zone.
You've been listening to the Sports Grill Fantasy Football Zone with Yahoo Sports' Andy Behrens. Go to sportsgrill.com to find a great location near you. Fantasy football fans, subscribe to the Big O Radio Show on YouTube and all other platforms to catch up with all our fantasy football insight provided by Scott Pianowski and Andy Behrens.
All right. Let me see what we got on the Super Chats. What was the last one I read? Let's see where we at here. What do we got? Dolphins. Dud Dolphins suck. 22 or 23 years without a playoff win. Okay. All right. But thank you for the Super Chat. Appreciate it. Another one at Big O Show. Fans wishing injury is acceptable. Fans are idiots. Right? Don't you guys have morons jumping on tables and diving their face into concrete and throwing snowballs and trying to hurt people? I mean, there is no bigger, I don't think there's a dumber fan base than your fan base, my brother. No fan base is diving on lit tables and missing the table. That's the best part about you guys. Kind of like Scott Norwide. You know, your kicker's kind of wide. So are some of your idiot fans that are diving on tables or face first into the concrete. So I'm not sure, bro, but, you know, your fans are trying to injure people and they're also injuring themselves. I don't think you want to talk about fans when it comes to your fan base. You got about the dumbest mofos that are out there, and they put themselves on video all the time. But thanks for the Super Chat. John Murphy chimes in. Buffalo has never won a Super Bowl. Never. Okay. I don't know. Why are we talking about all these silly things? Lord Waters, thank you for the love on the Super Chat. So there we go. What do we got? Oh, this Dolphins guy is all over the place. We are playing themselves right out of the playoffs. What do we have, like a 10-year-old in here or something? Carlos Cigarro. Mac Jones got stiff-armed into another dimension. Oh, yeah, I did see that. S. Brent says, Big O, I was at the game Saturday. Bills Mafia is trash, bro. Let's see. Ernest says, nothing crickets from Big O on how defense lost game at Buffalo after. I've already talked about Ernest, my brother. I've talked about it over and over again. I don't need to repeat it. Go back and listen to the postgame show. Listen to stuff that I talked about earlier. It's all there, my brother. There's nothing to avoid, you dumbass. All the material's there. Do you watch this show all the time, Ernest? Do I go repeating always every segment? I don't do that. It's all there. We already explained everything. We talked about the defense. And it's really, again, all about Mike McDaniel once again and the receivers. They're the ones that lost that game. So there we go. What else do we have? What was awesome? Oh, okay. Well, I'm just being honest. I mean, you know, Dolphins suck. We also have a playoff caliber team. That's fantastic. All right. That's awesome. Will you win a Super Bowl is the question. You know, you had a playoff caliber team in the 90s, but, you know, you kind of needed the Viagra to finish off the job. You guys didn't have the little blue pill. You might have the little blue helmet, but you don't have the blue pill. So far, the Bills have not had the little blue pill to finish off this run. So what's going to happen? Is this going to go with another run that you'll say, what if? What if? So once you win, then you can brag, but, you know, but enjoy it. It's all good. Funny thing is, statistically, they have a better chance of hitting their own team. Yeah, well, they probably did. Give this offense some ginseng in their coffee, damn it. Rosendo. Big O, you're on a roll today. They need Nature B. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Dougie Fresh. Symbols will soon be understood by the Dolphins. Yeah, probably. Probably. That's usually how it ends with the trolls. That's very true. That's usually what we do with the trolls. What else are you going to do? When sports and business collide, folks, we like doing something called the KSDT Sports Business Report. All right. So, we're about the firing season has already started in the NFL. And so we saw what happened in Carolina, right? They've got to get a new head coach there. And there's going to be obviously more firings by the end of the year. So the NFL wanted to put something out to teams to kind of remind them what's going on. And NFL officials have informed the owners of the league's 32 franchises that teams have spent over $800 million on fired coaches and front office executives over the past 5 years. It was delivered this past week at the owners' meeting in Dallas, sent to the league as a reminder that some franchises mull significant changes at the end of the season. Hundreds of millions of dollars are squandered recently by teams that need to act less hastily. NFL officials went as far as to compose spreadsheets specific to each team about their employees they fired and the cost incurred by the team, according to sources. The league wanted each team to see the exact cost for instability and employees that they paid for services no longer rendered. Costs this year already have begun piling up in ways the league is cautioning teams to guard against in the future. The Panthers fired head coach Matt Rule, 4 years remaining on a 7-year, $60 million contract. The Colts fired head coach Frank Reich, 4 years remaining on his August 21 contract extension that pays him $9 million annually. The Titans fired general manager John Robinson with 4 full years remaining on his contract extension. He signed this past February. With the league that averages close to 7 head coaching changes per year, this will not be the last of the firings this season. Over $800 million. Dude, the Raiders are paying for 2 coaches right now. Okay? It gets to a point where it's just ridiculous. It's out of control. And, it's people are saying, oh, they're going to fire Josh. No, these people are so cheap. They're already paying 2 coaches. And they're probably going to try to get out of the John Gruden one because the son will try to do the same thing the old man did, try to stiff coaches. But there you go. $800 million on just getting rid of coaches and front office personnel. And by the way, I'm sure the Dolphins have contributed to that streak too over the last 5 years. That is your KSDT CPA Sports Business Report.
This has been the KSDT Sports Business Report. KSDT CPA is one of South Florida's largest and one of the country's fastest growing accounting firms. KSDT is recognized by Forbes as one of the top tax and accounting firms for 2022. KSDT CPA is a full service firm that also excels in crypto. Visit online at ksdtcpa.com or call 305-670-3370.
During the post-game show, we talked about this because obviously I've been pretty steady on this, that, the offense has to do their job. And in all losses this year, the offense is the one that failed, including on Saturday night. The offense failed once again. You got to catch the touchdowns. Braylon Sanders, Trent Sherfield, Tyreek Hill. Those are 14 points, or shall I say 11 points that you left on the field. Obviously, the extra point, which was absolutely dumb on McDaniel's part to go for a 2-point conversion that early in the season, in the game. That made no sense whatsoever. And so somebody was asking me, but what are you expecting? The Dolphins to score 30 points every week? And I said, yeah, or more. Do you know why? Well, let's go over it. Eagles beat the Bears 25-20. Jags beat the Cowboys 40-34. Chiefs beat the Texans 30-24. Falcons and Saints don't have great offenses, 21-18. Lions beat the Jets. Again, not great offenses. 20-17. Jets don't really have a great offense. Steelers don't have a great offense, and neither do the Panthers. They still scored 24-16. Colts Vikings, 39-36. Ravens Browns, they don't have offenses, so you can't expect them to score. Bills Dolphins, 32-29. You got to score in this league, man. That's how you win in this league. You got to have offenses. And when Miami has had their issues, it's because their offense doesn't score enough. Bengals and Bucks played to a 34-23 game. Raiders beat the Patriots 30-24 on that wacky call, on that wacky play. You got to score in this league, man. And most of the good teams, they can put up some points. So if anybody thinks that again, we've talked about the whole defensive thing. You can go back and listen to it at the beginning. But I've only got 5 players you can count on defense. Offense has to carry. Offense has to score and score a lot. And they can't keep screwing it up. And when they can run the ball like they could on Saturday night, you got to keep running. That's how you keep Josh Allen off the field. You don't pass Mike McDaniel. And when you're playing Josh Allen, you take every point possible. To go for a 2-point conversion early was stupid. You take the extra point. I get it if it's in the fourth quarter and it's late, it's a different ball game. But in the first quarter, early in this game, you're moving the ball. You got to feel good about your offense. Take the point. Gave away a point there. That you got to score points, and you do it by not putting Braylon Sanders in a position that he's not ready to perform at. You have other experienced receivers on the field. Why didn't you run those guys in that position? Some bad mistakes overall, but make no mistake, offense is what's going to save this team, and they better score. And it's proof there. If you look at this league, you got to score. Defenses aren't shutting people down unless you're playing a bad offense. Most of the good offenses, they're going to score points. All right, 855-912-1056 on the Welt and Rayom text line. That's 855-912-1056 on the Welt and Rayom text line. 300 Egos. Thank you, sir, for the love in the super chat. Says, best show, best guy for entertainment overall. I really enjoyed this year seeing glimpses of great potential and maybe a playoff push. I feel like next year could be the year we arrive. Well, as long as they finish out the roster and get some pieces, yeah. Yeah, they're really injured this year, especially on defense with that secondary. It's hard, man. It's hard. I mean, that Bills offense is wicked, and Josh Allen is just a freak of a player. And you got to be healthy to play him. You need 2 healthy corners. You need to get Brandon Jones back, and you still got to find themselves a stud middle linebacker. They desperately need that for that team. You look at the Bills on the other side, and that Milano guy is a monster. He is all over the place. They don't have anybody like that. And you got to find a guy like that. You got to have, they don't have a linebacker that puts the fear into people at all. Jerome Baker is a nice player. He has his moments where he does a nice job overall, but he's not a thumper, and he's not what you really want at middle linebacker. Okay. He's a weak side linebacker. So they don't really have that guy. Landon Roberts, God bless him. I love him for short yardage stuff. But outside of that, he's a liability in everything else that he does because he's not an athlete out in the open field. And you see it all the time. They've got some holes to fix, man. There's no doubt about it. So I still can't get over Braylon Edwards running to catch the ball to see the ball whistle over his head by 5 yards. Yeah, no, he screwed up that one. Tua threw the perfect ball for him to go. If Kader Kohou does not get that call for pass interference on 3rd and 17, Miami wins. A lot of missed opportunities. Defense, because of injuries in secondary, let the team down. And I can't get mad at Kader for that. He's a young guy, fresh out of Division II. He has excelled and played well and made so many good plays that I know he's going to make some mistakes. And I know he's a physical corner, and so some of those calls are going to go against him at times. But I his effort is second to none. I have nothing but respect for what Kader Kohou has done this year and how he's growing. I think he's going to grow into being the opposite corner of X next year. And X will come back next year. I know X is a shadow of himself right now. He's injured. There's no doubt. But hopefully X with an offseason will get healthy and come back. Remember, they're not going to let go of X and Byron Jones. Don't fool yourselves. That's not going to happen. Okay? They're going to let go of Byron Jones this offseason, and then next offseason in 24, they'll let go of X. Cap-wise, they cannot take that hit with both guys. It just wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. What else do we have going on? Oh, I see where what's it called? Binance is going to buy Voyager Digital. So those of you that were involved in a little Voyager action, looks like you might get your money back now. Some of it, hopefully 70%. Interesting. So, Sean Stanley, you got to tell me about something here. Because one of your guys got in trouble. I don't know if you saw the what's the guy's name? Velveteen. Your boy Velveteen Dream. What's up with your boy Velveteen Dream?
Oh, I don't know. He's been gone for like 2 years. They cut him a while ago for some other stuff.
He exploded on an officer over Miranda rights during an arrest earlier this year, hurling F-bombs to the cop, calling him a rookie, this and that. Footage was captured on an officer's worn body cam on August 20th after Orlando police said that the wrestler, real name Patrick Clark, bit and punched a gym employee following an altercation at a fitness facility in Orlando. Video shows as soon as the cops put Clark in cuffs, he immediately became combative, demanded that they allow him to speak to his lawyer. When they wouldn't, he threatened to sue.
Sounds about like him.
So Velveteen had appeared in to be angling for a WWE comeback in the weeks leading up to the arrest, posting on social media pages about a possible return. So what's up with your boy?
Yeah, no, I mean, every time anything comes close to, I guess, them bringing him back, he messes it up. But also, I mean, there was a story that came out a while ago. EC3, another competitor at NXT, where he had placed cameras in the bathroom and then invited people over for a party. And then, so again, and then he's got other issues way before that. Like, they let him go. I think it was almost probably been, God, close to 3 years ago. And he's supposedly, every time they say that he's close to coming back, then he ends up getting in trouble, supposedly. So I don't know where, because WWE, my understanding is, hasn't shown really a lot of interest in him since the issue that happened before and all the other stories. But every time one of these stories happen, it's that he was close to coming back. So,
well, here's a good one. Did you know about this? Dark Match, new movie coming out with Chris Jericho in it. It's a wrestling-themed horror movie.
Oh, God.
Fresh off his role at Terrifier 2, AEW superstar Chris Jericho will next be seen in the horror movie Dark Match from director Lowell Dean and Alicia Issa from Transplant, Stephen Ogg from The Walking Dead, Sarah Canning from The Vampire Diaries, Michael Eklund from Winona Earp and Jonathan Cherry from Goon will also star. The upcoming horror movie is seen as a small-time wrestling company accepting a high-paying gig in the backwoods town, only to discover that when they arrive, the community is run by a mysterious cult leader with devious plans for their match. Lowell Dean wrote the script and will also direct the movie. Dean said in a statement, "It's been a blast filming in Edmonton and working every day with such a talented cast and crew. I'm excited for the opportunity to work with Department 9 Studios for the producer support in bringing Dark Match to life." Chris Jericho, by the way, is on board as an executive producer also in this one. How about that?
It's the life of independent wrestling. Is basically what it is.
Brother, I will.
You go to towns where
time on this. I have no idea.
No. I'm just saying. I mean, it's like you go to towns when you're an independent wrestler that you didn't even know existed on maps.
Right.
And you're wrestling at the fair, and it's like, okay, I'm waiting for the next bad thing to happen.
Right.
But no, I mean, I'm not into the horror movies, and to make it a wrestling themed horror movie almost sounds like what they did with Stone Cold, that one show where they put them all on the island and it was Survivor. It was basically like Survivor, and you had to kill everybody else on the island and everything else. But I think the wrestling movies are better when you do comedy, because I mean, it just to me, it just doesn't make sense, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So there you go, wrestling fans. Chris Jericho doing a horror movie for you all out there. Anthony Campos says, Big O, Ahmed played amazing. You need to give Xavier Howard the nature beat. I think Xavier Howard just needs an operation, probably, or rest. Like, I swear I would not be surprised if he has some kind of sports hernia surgery at the end of the year or something like that, and you hear, because he played with that growing injury the entire year and he effed it up and all that. You can tell he's not himself, dude. And listen, he's got to be frustrated with all of this. I don't think he's just like mailing it in. You know what I mean? I think he might be frustrated a little bit with his play and all that because he can't be himself. But yeah, it's and listen, that's McDaniel. Ahmed playing well, and for Mostert to run the ball the way he did and to not keep using them, incredibly irresponsible of McDaniel. Okay. Orlando, your thoughts on Snowball Gate? I mean, it's just typical. The Buffalo fans are idiots. I mean, you got a bunch of them that are morons. Again, these are the idiots that table dive. What do you want, bro? Well, where is it smart to jump off a trailer onto a table and mess up your back? And you notice how all those guys get up and they're all like, oh, it's like, what did you expect, you idiot? Like the other day that I saw that guy that was diving over a wall and a walkway, and then they had like this bogus wood table that they built, and he missed the wood table and went right into the concrete. I'm pretty sure I have that tweet somewhere that I retweeted it after I saw it, because of course, stupid ass Bills fans who do shit like that. But it's hilarious. This is what you get. I don't know if I can find it quickly here, but I did put it out. I don't know. It might have been a day or two ago, a couple days ago. Probably a couple days ago. But it's hilarious how you see a guy absolutely missing the entire table. I mean, you're already a dumbass for diving and landing on a table as it is. I mean, you couldn't be a dumber mofo for that. But the fact that you're going to actually miss the table and go face first into the concrete, my God. I will say this. I got to thank those Bills fans, because it is entertaining. That I'll give it to you. That's actually the good part, that it's incredibly entertaining. Your stupidity makes it super entertaining. I wish I could find it. So I don't know if The problem is I'm looking at my retweets, and I don't know if the video is still going to be showing, or is it just me when I retweet it? It's just text, and I don't see the link, unfortunately. But maybe you could find it for me, Sean, the guy that well, I mean, there's lots of them. It's not just one. Many end up diving and landing face first into the and by the way, I want to also say this jackoff from Buffalo who tweeted out in the morning that picture. You know what I'm talking about? Let me show you here what I'm talking about. This guy, this jackass, in the morning on Saturday tweets this out and makes it look like it's hell coming. Like what happened to Buffalo a month ago when they had to move the game to Detroit. When that guy put that out there, I was like, wow, man, are they going to make people drive in that shit? Because that's kind of crazy. And then sure enough, it had nothing to do with that. And I mean, predicting the weather is absolutely brutal. I don't know if you could find it, because I can't find it right now, Sean. But it is just absolutely classic watching that idiot just and the best part is he lands face first into the concrete and he just stays there. And then people start walking up to him like, dude, are you alive? Are you all right? And I love how all the other, oh, here it is. I found it. All right, we got to do it. Here we go. Here's the definition of Buffalo fans. Okay? Here's the definition of Buffalo fans.
Stop. The guy goes, oh, you're going to jump? There you go.
Oh my God.
How about that? Look at them how they're checking on. Here we go.
You're going to jump?
101. Here we go. Here's dumbass thinking he's going to clear everything out. Like, I don't have any. People flopped over him. They're all looking around like, is he all right? Is he all right? Is he alive? Did we just watch somebody kill himself? And so, he's all hurt. And his ego is also hurt because he missed the entire table. He really doesn't want to get up. But he'd rather, he hurt. These are the Buffalo Bills fans right here. Right there. There you go. Should we watch it one more time? One more. What the hell? There you go. Definition of a Buffalo Bills fan. And this is actually the Super Bowl one. And Kelly and company. They first. So far, Josh Allen and company. They first. Maybe that's why these idiots do this. With their team. But they're really never going to win the big game. That they're going to. Wow. Thanks for playing. All right. Tell you. Whew. Man. Was that impressive or what? Huh? How was that? How was that stuff? Was that awesome or what? You got to love it. By the way, Sloman's Home Shield, 14 different states. So make sure, and by the way, we are now in some frigid cold weather. Some of you Buffalo fans, you might not be very smart jumping or missing tables, But you would be smart to call 1-866-OIL-DEAL and find out right now what you're paying for heating oil. Maybe we can save you some money. Sloman's Home Shield, by the way, they've been protecting Americans with their security system and everything else for over 100 years. But they also provide heating oil, and they're one of the best in the business. Fixed price, okay? We're going to save you hundreds probably in the long run. So why don't you listen, all you're going to do is pick up the phone and find out. We're in 14 different states. We might be in a state near you. 1-866-OIL-DEAL. Call them right now and tell them that you heard it on the Big O Show and that you want to find out what is the price for heating oil every month compared to what you're paying. And guess what, folks? You're going to end up saving yourself money. Plus, you'll be supporting us and supporting the great sponsors that support us every single day here on the program. The Salzman family, always behind us, folks. Chris Vitale, all the great people out there. And by the way, if you need an alarm system, 1-800-ALARM-ME. Let's give you a free doorbell camera right now, folks. And we'll give 40 listeners right now a free doorbell camera. All you do is got to call 1-800-ALARM-ME. And when you use our professional installation and our low-cost central station monitoring, you're also going to get an LED touchscreen pad, a motion detector, 3-arm doors, and a backup battery. Make sure you tell them that Big O sent you. You will get that free doorbell camera. 1-800-ALARM-ME for the Sloman's Home Shield. Imagine doing all of that and your team isn't going to win the Super Bowl this year. Go Fins. Gaskin and Gesicki must have been Flo's guys because McDaniel. No, it has nothing to do with that, dude. It's just it's a fit thing, and he's really hard-headed about it. And if you don't fit, you don't fit. And if he wants to run this play, he's going to run this play, and he's kind of stubborn in his ways. That I've learned with him so far. What else do we have? Eddie Lepp says they're not used to seeing the color green or grass. All they see is white, gray, and brown. He probably thought it was water. Kind of like the birds in Boise State. I don't know if some of you know that the people out in Boise State, the blue field, sometimes they find birds dead on the field. Do you know why? Birds literally think it's water. And they go diving into the field thinking that they're going to go catch a fish. And when they dive, beak and all gets stabbed right into the ground and they die. So at Boise, they find dead birds on the field, apparently. It's not funny, but it's kind of funny and weird and twisted and all kinds of stuff. What else do we have? Dougie Fresh says Buffalo fans huffing carb cleaner. Huffing carb cleaner look confused at the dude face planting when we all know that they're allergic to desks. It worries me because Flo is just as stubborn. Yeah. Well, Tua was stubborn too. He wouldn't throw the ball away, and he's doing a much better job of that. Okay, so you can learn. We all can learn. We just kind of learn the hard way. And that's kind of that's a defect in all of us as human beings, right? We all are kind of stubborn in our ways. And then sometimes to a point that we have to kind of make the mistake before we kind of then correct it, right? McDaniel's no different than you and me. And he's going to have to correct it. I mean, you fail enough, hopefully you'll correct it. What else do we have? I have seen cops, ball boys, and cameramen get hit with ice balls. Yeah, no, I actually felt bad. You know that they were pelting the camera guy. The camera guy's on his perch filming. Dude, that guy's there working for a living, man. He's in the freezing cold. He's trying to do his job professionally, provide a great picture for all the fans out there. And you've got these moronic Bills fans pelting the camera guy with snowballs. Like, really, man? What did that guy do to anybody? Why do you have to bother that dude? I don't even know why you would hit players or coaches or whatever. That's just ridiculous too. But okay, I get it, fans and whatever emotional. But the camera guy, he's just working, dude. I just found that to be, I don't know, just sad. I felt bad for the guy. He's getting pelted all over the place. Just not good, man. Let's see. Big O, what is more fault, offensive play calling or defensive play calling? Do you listen to the show? Did you watch the post-game show? Did you listen to the first hour? You may need to do that, theme park. Sometimes it's hilarious because I'll get like these DMs on Twitter. Hey, did you talk about? Yeah, I did, bro. What do you want me to do? Repeat everything for you here on the text? I'm not your private, sports talk show. No, I'm your public sports talk show, and you can go back and listen to it. Okay? So I get it. You join late. Well, then learn to rewind. You know what I mean? I'm already talked out about everything. I already did. I laid all the blame out already, my man. You're like, I get it. You just showed up now. You didn't join us in the post-game show. You didn't join us earlier on the show. Well, then you're going to have to go back and check it out. Okay? Okay. I love how people think I'm their private talk show host. Oh, well, let's talk about, no, let's not talk about it again. No, you can go back and listen to it. I don't need to use my voice and repeat it all over again. Don't need that. Tonight, we got the Rams and the Packers. Packers are favored by 7. Over and under is 39.5. Rams, by the way, on the money line, plus 270. Packers, minus 325. See what and the Packers on a short week, right? They got to play tonight, and then they play on Sunday. And remember, pregame here starts at 11 a.m. And the postgame is right after theme park points of view. Postgame right after. If you want to get the reaction of what happened. Early line right now. Remember, tonight may change the line because they may have injuries or whatever. The early line right now is Dolphins favored by 4.5. The over and under is 46.5. Packers plus 175 on the money line. Miami is minus 210 on the money line. The Heat, by the way, are off tonight. Tuesday, they take on the Bulls at 7:30. They beat the Spurs on Saturday. They're now over 500. So that's cool. Panthers back in action tonight. They defeated the Devils 4-2. Reinhardt with 2 goals in that game. Bob had 30 saves. They've got the Bruins tonight, 7 o'clock. See if they can get that done. Did you guys see the Elon Musk put out a poll if he should step down from Twitter, which he should, by the way. And it's not so much because of any of his opinions. Well, it's mostly because he's wasting a lot of time doing a lot of stupid shit on Twitter and fighting with people and all that, when he really should be worried about SpaceX and Tesla and the things that he's actually making like a difference in people's lives. He's like making our world better with the technology and the things that he's coming up with, whether it's, solar panel roofs, solar powered generators and powered houses and all that stuff, cars, what he's doing with SpaceX, the what is it, the Space Link or whatever the hell that's called, that your satellite phone that you can use and have internet anywhere in the world, wherever you live, no matter how remote it is, you can have, connection, all that. He's doing so many things that are a positive for our world that Twitter is not a positive. And he shouldn't be wasting his time. Forget about his opinions, whether you agree with it or not, or you think it's too far left or he's picking too much on the right or whatever. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. Okay? But it just seems like he's bogged down doing this shit when he's smart enough to go find somebody else. Now, here's the problem. He put out a poll, should he still be running Twitter? They clearly said no, which is true. 57 to 43%. 57% said no, get the hell out, which I agree with all of them. But then he tweets out, okay, but I'm having trouble finding somebody to take over. And then I tweet back, well, that's because everybody knows that whoever you hire, you're going to make them your puppet. And so the man or the woman that wants to become the CEO of Twitter wants to be their own person. And they don't want the owner telling them what they should be doing all the time. And that's what's going to happen with Elon. And anybody that takes that job knows that. So if you want to get somebody respectable, you're not going to get somebody respectable. You're going to get somebody that's just happy to get the job and take the money and just pay it and listen to the boss. And any of us can do that. But will you actually let somebody that's objective run the platform and hopefully, better it? But I just found it funny that it's kind of like that stupid poll he made about allowing Trump to get back on Twitter. That was a dumbass poll to have. You know why? The people that don't like Trump, they have lives, most of them. They're not going to be so petty and race to Twitter to vote no. Now, the fanatical fan base that he has, right? They're all going to vote yes. And they're all going to go out of their way because they're fanatical. So, yeah, he's going to get more votes, yes or no, because I wouldn't want Trump anywhere in society, not just Twitter. But I never voted. I didn't care. So it's kind of a hollow poll because, I'm better than that than to be voting on a poll whether Trump is on or not on Twitter. I'm just like, yeah, I've got better things to do. You know what I mean? And that's where that poll doesn't work. Because it's a bias poll. Same thing here. This isn't going to work because you're not really going to give that person the real job, unfortunately. So that's why Elon is having trouble finding, an option and somebody to run it. Any of us would take it. Just okay, yeah, we'll do what he says, and we'll make the 6-figure salary. That kind of stuff is what's going to go on. All right. What else do we have going on in the world of sports? Apparently, Amari Stoudemire treats his daughters like fire extinguishers. Yeah, I don't know if you guys know about this, but Amari Stoudemire was arrested over the weekend. Domestic violence. How do you like that? And it had to do with his daughter. How screwed up is that? He actually punched the girl. That's what the report says. Wow. That's kind of rough there for Amari Stoudemire. And for those of you that are a little young, Amari Stoudemire once lost his cool in a was it a Heat? Was it a playoff series? Or was it a regular game? Now I forgot. Do you remember, Sean, when Amari Stoudemire punched the fire extinguisher in the Heat? I mean, I was literally there at the arena. But I forgot if it was a playoff game or a late regular season game. That one I don't remember. But my man actually screwed his team by punching the glass of a fire hydrant, fire extinguisher, those boxes, and he lacerated his hand. I don't think he broke it. I think it was like a deep cut. I think it was. So now he gets arrested over the weekend because he's fighting with his daughter and literally punched her. Like, wow. Okay. You couldn't hold back? You got the answer for me?
Yeah, it was in game 2 of the playoffs against the Heat.
Okay. See? I thought maybe it was 2012. Wow, 10 years ago. Ah, man. Let me read the story for you here. I can pull it up this way now instead. Amari Stoudemire, according to the Miami Herald, is facing a battery charge after allegedly assaulting his teenage daughter and was detained Sunday morning. He was later released on a $1,500 bond. Authorities ordered the athlete to refrain from contacting his daughter. The 40-year-old allegedly battered his daughter in the face amid an argument at their Miami home on Saturday, December 17th. The incident occurred after the 15-year NBA veteran pressed the young lady for being disrespectful for her grandmother. As the girl pled her case, Amari accused her of talking back and allegedly punched her in the jaw. As per the police report, the unspecified daughter then contacted her mother, who came home, picked up the children, and phoned the police. Amari says, over the last 24 hours, an incident in my family's home led to my being charged with assaulting my daughter. It is an allegation based on a report that does not square with the facts. I am of the Jewish faith. Today, Jewish people all over the world celebrate Hanukkah, and to hear the story of how we fought wickedness, I believe that whatever is hateful to you, do not do to others. As the investigation unfolds, the facts will show the allegations to be groundless, as my daughter's medical condition is not the result of me being assaulted by a father who is nearly 7 feet tall and weighs 250 pounds. I could never see myself assaulting any person, especially my children. I respect, protect, and love my family, particularly my children. As a father, I ask for your grace as we secure our space and privacy. Okay? When law enforcement, by the way, arrived at the premises and asked the former Nick, thank God they said Nick, about the incident, he explained that the girl was sad because she received a whooping from him for being disrespectful and a liar. Stoudemire then exercised his right to remain silent and offered no more insight in the incident. She received a whooping from him. She's a teenager. You know, I get an 8-year-old does something stupid. You smack him in the ass, right? Yeah, you know, whatever. Okay. A teenager, a whooping. Okay, like you say you're innocent, but that doesn't sound right. My daughter's 22 now. I am not going to whoop her ass at all. But there's no whooping going on when she's 14, when she's 18, when she's 22, when she's 32. There's no whooping going on. Now, would I spank my daughter or my son if they did something stupid along the way and then tap them? Yeah, of course I would do that after, 6, 8, 9, 10-year-old. Yeah, of course. I can see that. But a whooping? A whooping. So the Florida native, by the way, broke his silence and released a statement on Instagram, yada, yada, yada. So I just read you there the incident, the statement. So a whooping. Kind of strange. It's a strange adjective to use at that moment. That's just me. I would rather not have the delusions about Super Bowl wins than go 4 times in a row. Oh, what are you guys doing? Are you guys like having some silly conversation about something that happened years ago? All right. Miami sports fanatic. He also continued slapping her after punching her. Big O. Ray Stoudemire told cops his daughter received a whooping. Yeah, no, I just read that. I know it's just weird. Like a whooping. She's a teenager. Yeah. She's disrespectful to grandmother. You know what you do? You take the phone away, bro. You don't need to whoop these kids. You don't allow them to watch their laptop and their phones. And that will drive them up the wall. You want insanity? Take away electronics. That's how you discipline kids nowadays. Okay? Oh, this is what Southerners call a spanking, a whooping. She's a teenager, bro. She's 16. There's no whooping. You don't whoop teenagers. No. There's no whooping. You know? No whooping. I don't need to be worrying about, oh, God. You guys, what am I going to do? Do I not even read anything here now? All right. You guys can send me a super chat if you want me to read something, because now I got to pick something from there and I got to be reading. And apparently there's some silly-ass conversation going back and forth about, what are you people, like 12 years old, arguing about, championships or no championships or whatever, and going back and forth with stuff? What can I tell you? Where's Bitcoin at? Let's get to important stuff right now. 16.8, still pretty strong, holding up, man. Although, man, let me tell you something. If this company also folds because they owed money to Celsius and they've got to repay it, and apparently they may be, I forgot the name of the company right now, but they are a big crypto company, and they will have to then sell their Bitcoin. That will lower the price. Yep. Not that I'm going to be complaining, because right now I'm not even doing any alts at all, because I think there's going to be another dip here coming up, and then I can get back into the alts and lower that. But right now I'm just piling on the Bitcoin and the Ethereum right now. That's the only thing I'm doing. I'm just keeping and buying my Bitcoin, my Ethereum, and thanks to my man Brooklyn Rob investing in my Acorn. By the way, Brooklyn Rob, you turned me on to Acorn, and thank you so much. And Acorn is basically a 401k, except no penalties like you do with a 401k, that if you take it out too early and all that stuff, and if you want to pull out your profits or whatever, you're going to get penalized and all that. I got to tell you, that's a great idea with Acorn. And again, do your own homework for any kind of investments. I'm not a financial advisor or anything like that, but it's that Acorn app is pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. You can design it, and it just reminds me exactly of a 401k, except you're controlling it every single day with no problem. So I've been doing that too, and getting back into the stock market now that it is at rock bottom. I think this is the time when you want to kind of get into any of this stuff. Cardano, I've got plenty of, but I think there'll be a little bit more of a dip, so I'll wait and purchase. But I've got a big fat ass bag. My fourth biggest bag is Cardano. 1 Bitcoin, 2 Ethereum, 3 Polygon, 4 Cardano. Those are my top 4. VeChain's my 5th. And then I've got some other ones. But yeah, those are right up there. Yeah, Crow too. The only thing I would worry about Crow now, okay, let's be honest now. I'm big on Crow, but everything that's happened now, I think it's going to delay their growth for a while. So I still think that Crow will be good long term, but it's going to be a long term thing. Okay, I'm talking about 3 years at least when I think you're going to see Crow really take off. So you're going to have to be really, really patient with Crow, because they've got to kind of build everything back up again. There's a lot of FUD. There's a lot of uncertainty with exchanges, period. Even with Binance, that's a monster. And Binance now is going to buy Voyager, proving that they've got no problems. You know, Binance had $69 billion of crypto in their exchange. 15 billion has come off the last couple of weeks. They're still at 54 billion. Like Crypto.com, I think their total supply that they have from people and everything, it's like 4 billion. FTX was like 5. Shows you how big Binance is, that they were at 69 billion before all this FUD, and 15 billion have walked out and they haven't flinched because they really have the money. Think about it. FTX is like at 5 billion total. And people started taking out and it caved in right away because they didn't have the money. This guy hasn't flinched at all. But it shows you where they're at. And still, you should not have your money on any exchange. But because of that, because of the FUD and the uncertainty with all these exchanges and crypto overall, because there's really nothing wrong with crypto per se. The coins are fine. The companies are growing every day. Their Polygon just grows and grows and grows every single day, and people don't realize that. So there's nothing wrong with these companies. They're moving forward. It's the exchanges, it's the DeFi, it's the CeFi. These are the problems that are going on with it's the banks, it's the investment firms. For those of you that understand that language, it's the equivalent of banks and investment firms on the crypto side. That's where your problems are at. But 95% of the world has no idea about crypto, so they think crypto is wrong. But they can't decipher the two. They don't understand that. Nobody tells them that. Just like nobody explains the blockchain to people. Like the blockchain is the new internet. And so Cardano is a city, and Polkadot is a city, and Ethereum is a city, and Bitcoin is a city, and Solana is a city, and Avalanche is a city, and then there'll be highways that'll be connecting each of these cities. And so you may go to a dry cleaner, a website, or a car wash, or a lawyer, or whatever, and it's in Cardano. And then you're going to go buy something at McDonald's, and McDonald's happens to be in Polygon. That's all. It's just going to change. And instead of .coms, they're going to be .ios. And that's, those are the things that will change when people become part of the blockchain and Web3 and all that. You won't notice it. You'll look at it like the internet, but it's the new internet. And it's a different kind of internet because it's way more protected. The internet is not protected whatsoever. It opens it up for hackers all over the place, whereas the blockchain eliminates all that. That's kind of the thing. So that's what people don't understand, that the internet is being formed. And all of these islands that are companies are building bridges to all of these. And so the exchanges, whether you're Binance, whether you're Crypto.com, whether you're OKCoin, whether you're KuCoin or whatever, you're building bridges to Ethereum, to Binance, to Bitcoin, to Polkadot, to VeChain, to all of that, so you can load and unload. That's kind of the way it is. So that's really what's going on. But people don't understand that. They don't know what the future of the internet is, which is the blockchain. It's happening whether you like it or not. It's happening amongst us right now. But you only hear about Three Arrows Capital, and you only hear about FTX, and you only hear about Luna, and you only hear about Celsius. So you're only hearing about the banks and the investment firms, Enron, banks like that are failing. But the business of crypto itself, all it does is thrive. All it does is grow and grow and grow because corporations and institutions are just funneling in because they know that that's the future. But that's all right. It'll take a little while. That's all. Okay. Big O invest in public gold mines. Edward, gold hasn't moved in over 10 years, my brother. I'm sorry, man, but where are you taking gold, bro? You'll carry it all over the place? No. Digital gold. And by the way, they just found in Africa half of the world's reserve in gold. They found another, so that dropped the price. So you could mine more gold. You can't mine any more Bitcoin. There's 21 million, and it's over. There'll be no more. You know how the dollar loses 6 to 8%? Why? Because you keep printing. And so you devalue the dollar. That's the problem. And so if you're finding more gold, you're devaluing gold. And again, the facts are here. Here you go. Here, let's look at gold right now. Let me just show you guys here because, again, you got to kind of follow it, man. Okay? Where are we at here? Okay. Here we go. Let me show you something because, again, you're probably just repeating what somebody else told you. You probably really don't invest in yourself because if you did, you haven't made anything. Okay, so here's 2000 and it's like 13 right here. $1,725 in 2013. Look where it's at. $1,798. Yeah, you had a little dip here in 18 and 19. It went down to 1,200, 1,100, 600. But if you invested 10 years ago, you bought it at 1,725. 10 years later, 1,798. And I bet you didn't know that in Africa, about 2 months ago, I think it was about 2 months ago, they found more gold. They found so much gold, it's half of the world's supply right now that they found. Gold hasn't moved, bro. I mean, listen, man, if you really don't invest and you really don't know what you're talking about, I get it. Happens all the time. I get you guys in there commenting, but you really don't invest. You really don't follow markets. You really don't know what the hell's going on at all. Nobody would mention gold if you actually knew that gold hasn't moved in forever, man. I think it's like 13, 14 years, really. I just showed you 10. Just to, but I think it's like 13 years or something. Bitcoin started at under a penny 13 years ago, and it's just under 18,000 or 17,000 right now. Where's gold again? How long's it been around? Okay. So, just really do your homework is the only thing I ask. Really do your homework. If you're going to invest in anything, read up, find out about it. Okay? Because the lazy thing is, oh, yeah, invest in gold. Yeah, gold, silver, do that. No, don't. This is why Bitcoin's going to dominate, because you can move $2 billion or $200 billion within seconds from one side of the world to the other within seconds. Okay? It's not, I'll wire you $10,000. I'll send it to my bank, and then they'll send it to an international bank, which will then feed your bank, and then everybody cashes in. And you paid a shitload for that wire. Stupid. It's absolutely ridiculous. Meanwhile, I'll send you $1 billion to pay on my debt in Bitcoin, and I paid $12. And you got it like this. You don't have to wait days. What are you going to do? Go carry gold around somewhere? No, dude. You're going to have a digital wallet. Digital gold is what you're going to be sending, because you can't mine any more of it like gold. That's all right, man. People will eventually figure it out and all this FUD will go away, and the people we have in government that don't understand, like we have one guy in government say, oh, we should ban all crypto. Yeah, right. That's what we should do. Let the world go ahead of us in this technology, get ahead of us, way ahead of us, when we're the ones that's supposed to set the standard, like we just did now with nuclear fusion. That's what we do here, because we are America. We're the best. We're the best of the best. Okay? That's why we land on the moon first. That's why we do everything first, because we are the best of the best. You do not allow the rest of the world to get ahead of us and build what we're all going to be living and working on in the future. Web3, the blockchain, and crypto. That is going to be all part of everything that we do. But when you're too stupid to understand it, like some of the people we have in government, you're too old and you don't, it's funny because I'm considered old at 56, but man, I do my best to change with the times and adjust to what's going on. Doesn't seem that happens in Washington with some folks out there. Anyway, Christmas Day. So Christmas Day is starting to get owned by the NFL. Used to be owned by basketball, right? The NBA dominated. And Christmas Day was one of those things that, you look forward to with all the games. And obviously when LeBron was here and all that, it was really special when you had the big three. So this Sunday, when our beloved Miami Dolphins play at 1:00 against the Green Bay Packers, the Broncos will take on the Rams at 4:30, and Tampa Bay is at Arizona at 8:20. Now, I'm sure they expected Arizona to be better. I'm sure they expected Denver to be better and the Rams. And I'm sure they expected Green Bay to be better. Think about that. 5 of the 6 teams. The one that you probably didn't think was going to be that good, not me, because I really had hopes for this team, was probably Miami. But everybody thought Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers, they should be fine, maybe a conference champion. Oh, the Rams are coming back from winning the Super Bowl. It's that. Denver, they just got Russell Wilson. They're going to kick ass. Tampa Bay, Tom is back. They're ready to go. Arizona, yeah, they got the team and Kyler Murray, all that. Miami's probably the one that they probably least counted on. And it's the best team out of the group. So here's the question I have for you. Clearly, the NFL will dominate and kick the NBA's ass every day of the week and twice on Sundays. They'll trash baseball. They'll trash hockey. They'll trash soccer. They'll trash anything and everything in this country. Correct? We good with that, right? By the way, I'm talking about MLS soccer. Relax for some of you international fans that get all butthurt. Whoa. Soccer's number 1. Oh, yeah, I get that, bro. Relax. I'm talking about this country. Anyway, so this is the question I ask you. We got 400 right now on the chat board. You can answer. Green Bay and Miami. I know don't take the bias part out of you that you're a Dolphins fan. Of course, you're going to watch that game. But think about the general fan around the country. Are you going to be locked into football, even if they're not great matchups? Green Bay at Miami, Denver at the Rams, Tampa Bay at Arizona, or in the NBA at noon, you've got the 76ers at the Knicks. Okay. You've got the Lakers at Dallas. Then it gets really good. Milwaukee at Boston, Memphis at Golden State, and Phoenix at Denver. I mean, the NBA came up with a pretty good slate of games for Christmas Day. The NFL thought they had a good combination, and they don't. So what do you think happens? Does football still dominate? I think it still does. The weirdest thing is, I think our country would still rather watch a mediocre football game than a really good basketball game. You know that? I still think it's going to dominate. You guys tell me, does the NFL still dominate, or does the NBA have a shot this Christmas Day because some of the games and some of the matchups are still pretty strong? Those other two games besides Green Bay and Miami are awful. The Miami game may be awful too. If Green Bay's not any good, Miami should blow them out too. I mean, I know Miami's defense is going to give up its share of points. That's for damn sure. But, man. Jay says, Dolphins game, then NBA all day. Right? I think that's what I might do myself. I think I'll watch the Dolphins. I'll do the post-game show because we're working on Christmas. And then after that, yeah. Yep. I might do the same thing. Because the slate is actually really good in the afternoon into the evening. The Knicks and the Sixers, that does nothing for me. And Lakers at Dallas does nothing for me. I don't care for seeing the Lakers anymore. That does nothing for me whatsoever. Just a bunch of old farts that aren't going to even get it done anyway when it's all said and done. But the next three games, they're pretty good. So that won't be that bad because the third game will start at 5. We'll probably be done around 6, I would imagine. So we'll be watching the beginning of it while we're doing the post-game show. So there you go. Football will always be better to watch than boring basketball, says Bentley. Dolphin says, Big O, what did you get your wife for Christmas? I can't say that now, bro. You know, can't release that now. Got to release it after Christmas. You know what I mean? I got people in her school that watch this show all the time. Okay? Other teachers and administrators that watch this show. So I have to be very careful. And by the way, once again, want to thank everybody over at the Dolphins facility because I hear that we are a popular suggestion out there or option for the folks in the Dolphin building. So thank you all out there for supporting us. We really appreciate it immensely. Edward Thurston House says, by the way, wide receiver Sammy Watkins of Green Bay just got released ahead of the Dolphins game. And Rodgers is not playing, right? If I'm correct. Isn't Rodgers out? I think so, right? Yeah, no, this Dolphins should kick their ass. EJ Barro, thank you, sir, for the love on the super chats. Appreciate it. He says NFL all the way. How can you argue with that? Remember, you can make a donation through Cash App or Venmo. And remember, you can always donate Bitcoin. Cash Big O Show. That is Cash Big O Show on Cash App or Venmo. And you know we love a little Bitcoin donation. That is absolutely my favorite, man. Love it. That is a beautiful thing. How is the markets doing right now, huh? Markets are not good right now. They're not doing too well right now. Big O, all I want for Christmas is the playoffs. Paul in Connecticut. Yes, so do I, Paul. So do I. NBA has better games, but the NFL will still get better ratings for sure. Isn't it crazy that they do have better games, especially in the afternoon, and they are going to double the NBA ratings? Easily. Christian Watson is a beast. Alan Lazard and Aaron Jones with Dylan. Their offense is actually playing better. Worries me with our secondary. Yeah, but if it's not Aaron Rodgers, I'm not really that concerned. Is it Rodgers playing? I think he might not be, right? Can you look that up for me, Sean? Because I don't know why I think Rodgers is out. I think he is. If he is, are you really as concerned without Rodgers? Now, if Rodgers is playing, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Rodgers is playing. Just tell me, is he playing tonight? That's it. Oh, Jason says Rodgers is playing. Oh, so then, yeah, that's a problem. Okay. Yeah, that's a problem then. Okay. All right. I thought he was banged up. I thought he wasn't playing. Rodgers is a full participant in practice for Green Bay. Okay, so he's playing. Damn it. All right. But they can still beat him with Rodgers. They're a better team than Rodgers right now, and they're home. And they're on a short week, and they're on the road. You have every advantage in the book right now if you're the Dolphins. You cannot go and lose that game. I'm sorry. That is unacceptable. All right. I think we are out of here. I think we're done. We got to thank Indy Barons, Alan Poupart, Ira Winderman. We thank, of course, Sean Stanley, who masters this program every single day. We thank all of you out there, as always, sending in a super chat. If you're listening on the podcast at any time, you want to make a donation through Cash App or Venmo, you can do that at Cash Big O Show. We thank you all out there. We thank our great sponsors. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., same time, same place, same bat channel. Have a great one.